What's up, Sean? Simon? Pat, what's up? No, yeah, it's gonna be hot here too. Supposed to reach 90, 98 degrees today. That usually happens around 2 to 3 p.m. It's still not even 11 a.m. here, so it's not that hot yet. But I did come prepared this time. Let me show you guys the setup. I brought a tent this time. I don't know if you guys can see it in the back, but yeah, let me show you guys real quick because I knew it was gonna be hot. So yeah, let me show you guys what the setup looks like with the tent. So yeah, a lot of students, still summer school obviously, but that's the table with the tent. Gotta get some shade, so that's what it looks like. I think I might be getting some students coming already, so. What's up? You guys want to give it a shot? You guys can do it as a group. You would love to, yeah? You guys want to? Just him? Are you guys going to watch?
Yeah, it's fine. I'm smart enough.
Okay, fair enough. No, yeah, I like the confidence. All right, so 2 very easy multiple choice questions. So here's the first one. So here I have 3 box trucks. They're completely sealed. They're all on a level surface, and they all have an apple inside hanging from a string. The only difference between these 3 box trucks is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
B.
Yes, how did you know it's B?
Because it's going straight down.
Yes, it's staying vertical, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty simple. It's not moving, in other words. So which one is accelerating forward?
Okay. It's the balloon thing. So the one in C.
Okay.
Oh, bro. It's not the balloon. A.
It's A. Yes, this is not. It's not a
You're
helium.
wrong.
No, yeah. This is. So do you know why? You know why it's A?
Because the truck moves forward, but the apple wants to stay in the same place it was before.
Exactly, because of inertia. The apple has inertia, so it gets left behind, and the truck is moving, not the apple. You know, you got it. All right. So the second one, I think you'll get this one. It is the balloon. This one. So again, same thing. The only difference, instead of an apple now, it's a helium balloon.
Because the balloon's lighter than the air.
Yeah. So which one's at rest?
B.
Yes, for the same reason as the first, because there's no motion. So which one's accelerating forward?
C.
It is
Because
C.
the air, which has more mass, it moves to the back, which pushes the balloon forward.
Yeah, exactly. So the air doesn't necessarily move to the back. It's the back of the truck that pushes the air. And then the air, because it's more dense than helium, is able to push it along with it. So that's what a buoyant effect will be. And I can show you that with this. Look, this is a buoyant object, but instead of air, it's water. So what direction do you think it's going to go, the ball, if I accelerate it this way?
That way.
Yeah. The ball goes forward, exactly. Because that's what buoyancy is. It's an effect of a force. You know, it always follows the direction of the force. You got it. That's pretty good. So here, I recreated this experiment inside of a cargo van. And it's basically both questions in one. And I want to see if you can get them right. So here, let me show you guys real quick. So there's an apple and a helium balloon inside a cargo van. What direction did it accelerate?
It's going that way.
Yes, that's exactly, because the air is being forced in that direction, and the air was able to push the helium balloon in that same direction. Exactly. So it looks like the apple and the helium balloon are moving away from each other. That's what it looks like, right? So, but in reality, only one is being moved through space and the other one is not. So out of the helium balloon and the apple, which one is actually moving through space?
The balloon's moving.
Yes, the apple. Exactly. So the balloon's moving away from the apple. The apple's not moving away from the balloon. You got it. Perfect. So one more question before you guys go. If I have a helium balloon here on Earth and I release it, what direction does it go? Yes, it goes up. There's 2 reasons why it goes up. Why do you think?
Because the helium is lighter than the air.
Yes, the helium is less dense than air, and you need one more reason. There's another reason why the helium balloon goes up and not left, right, or down.
Because
you need a force. So you need something to push the balloon up, right? So it's the air pushing up the helium balloon because the air is more dense than it. So in this scenario, the truck generated the force to push the air to push the helium.
Oh, gravity.
What's generating the force here on Earth to push up
Gravity pulls the air, and then the air shoots the...
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if you guys knew, gravity as a pulling force is just a theory, which means it has never been proven or detected. In other words, it doesn't exist. In fact, the reality is the force of the Earth is an upwards push, not a downwards pull. So right now, the Earth is pushing up against your feet, and that upwards push of the Earth is what's pushing up the air, and that's why helium balloons go up. So when you release an apple, just like the experiment here, the apple only falls due to inertia. So it kind of stays in its position in space, and the Earth catches up to it. And then that upwards motion is what pushes up helium balloons as well. So again, the force of the Earth is an upwards push, not a pull. So this is the real reason why I'm doing this. You guys all believe the Earth is a ball, right? Yeah. Do you guys understand that on a ball, up is relative? So if you're standing here, up is this way, but if you're standing down here, up is this way. In every direction away from the center is up on a ball, because that's relative. So if we could prove physically that the force of the Earth is not a pull and in fact is an upwards push of the Earth, how can the Earth push up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball?
Because it can't, so it has to be flat.
You got it. Yeah, well, not flat, but it's level. So again, in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in gravity being a pull of the Earth. Because if we could prove that it's actually an upwards push, that would mean the whole globe Earth concept would fall apart. It wouldn't work, not even on paper. So that means that the Earth is just an extended level plane that's pushing up in one direction. So everybody's up is the same. So China and Australia are not bending under your feet, they're just across the way. Everything exists just across the way. So the Earth is a level plane, not a ball. And that would be the number one. No, yeah. And I didn't know that either. I found that out 10 years ago. Wow. And it's the number one sensor topic online by far, and that's why I'm out here talking to people, in real life.
Wow. Thank you so much.
No, yeah, no worries. Any questions for me before you guys go? Just before you guys go, real quick, why do you guys believe the Earth is a ball?
Honestly, after this, I don't think I do.
Fair enough. I kind of like the response.
I'd have to say the same.
What about you guys? Why do you guys believe the Earth is a ball? Yeah, fair enough. So here, let me give you guys my YouTube channel. Do you guys have any questions for me again before you guys go? No? All right, no worries. So here, I'll give you guys my channel. I go to other universities here in Southern California as well, and I speak to professors as well. And all shoes there. You guys can share the flyer. That's my YouTube channel. I'm actually live streaming right now too, so you can check it out. Yeah. All right. Thanks for the chat, man. Thanks for stopping. You guys have a good one. Wow, that was really good. Again, you're using critical thinking. Maybe not in the first question, I guess, because he thought it was the balloon question, but obviously it was the apple question. And he kind of jumped ahead in that first question, but everyone else got it, and he got it after. That's what's important. He understood. And yeah, that is literally the number one proof that debunks the globe Earth is the fact that gravity, it's an upwards push of the Earth, not a downwards pull. And when you break it down like this, anyone can get it. It's very easy to understand. They couldn't argue it. Again, the Earth is a level plane that's pushing up in one direction. The Earth and anything in reality cannot move multi-directional at the same time. That would mean it would just have to get ripped apart. If my phone moved up and down at the same time, it would have to literally get ripped in half to be able to move up and down, yet alone 360 degrees. It would just explode. That's what would happen if my phone was to move in every direction at the same time. It would just explode. Anything in reality, a car, anything. In order for it to move, in all directions at the same time, it would have to literally be torn apart or explode in order for that to happen. So the Earth, again, claiming that it's a ball, but physics shows that there's an upwards push of the Earth and not a downwards pull, completely and demonstrably destroys the ball Earth theory. Because that would mean the Earth will have to just be expanding, which obviously, that wouldn't work. It would just explode or rip itself apart if the Earth was pushing up and was a ball. So again, that is why the controlled opposition, the motionless flat earthers, are pushing this whole idea of a downwards push or pull of objects falling in free fall, because they want to keep that main idea alive for the globe. They're basically giving you two false models that are not going to go nowhere. And that's why this whole motionless flat earth versus ball earth It's just a false dichotomy because they're both wrong. They both buying into the idea that an object falls due to some kind of magical force. You know, whether flat earthers want to call it a force or not, they deny that there's a force. I think it's just fall because that's the way it is. That's just the way God created it. There's an up and a down because God said so. And there's no physics behind that motion vector. That's retarded. But that's what motionless flat earthers want you to believe, you know. Especially the ones pushing it online that have big YouTube channels. Again, the onlooker, the subscribers that subscribe to this idea are just sheep, you know, no different than globe earthers that just believe what they're told. They don't really use any critical thinking. And especially when somebody presents the physics that debunks their model, they completely deny it. Again, that's no different than a globe earther that denies the practical physics that debunks their model as well. So again, we're being willfully ignorant to the new information that contradicts their beliefs, you know. A lot of people would just say, oh, the Bible says it's flat and motionless, so it must be flat and motionless. Again, that's no different than someone saying, oh, well, in a globe, astrophysicist's book, it shows a globe Earth, you know. In this astronomy book, it shows the Earth is a globe, right? Again, a book doesn't prove reality. Reality proves itself. You know, that's the reality. But yeah, here's what it is. That was a really good conversation, a really good short conversation to the point. You know, that was really good. So again, it's still, I think today's like the last day for like, they have like 3 different or 4 different summer sessions. They're like 6 to 8 weeks. Today's like the last day for the first round of summer sessions, I think, and I think the next round starts on Monday, which will be August 3rd. Another course, or what would you call it, you know, will start then, you know, because they split it into like 6 weeks, two different sessions for summer, 6 weeks each. So today was the last day, and yeah, I'm glad I was able to come. I'm glad I have some shade, because damn, I would have been roasting right here. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So here, let me let me check the chat real quick. Angela, Martin, Selenelian, Manuel, and everyone else watching, thanks for coming, thanks for showing up, thanks for the support. And again, for the people that did donate from the last video, I truly appreciate it again. Again, it does help out with parking and some gas money, because it's not cheap to come out here. It's not free to come out here, unfortunately. You know, I have like a 3-hour round commute, you know, on top of paying for parking and stuff like that. So the people that donated, I really do appreciate it. And again, for anybody that does want to support this channel and what I do, have the links in the description of this video. So a Cash App and PayPal link in there for anybody that wants to support. And at the end of the day, it does help out, you know. And I hope in the future that I'm able to, like, you know, take more days off of work to come out and do this. You know, the goal is to at least come out at least once a week to do this. But having to work a full-time job is not that easy. And most of you that know how expensive it is to live here in Southern California and Los Angeles, you know, to be exact, it's not easy, you know, especially if you're not rich or wealthy, right? Which I'm not, far from it. So yeah, any support will be appreciated, and yeah, it will literally just go towards me coming out and doing this more often, obviously. So let me put some sandwich. I did bring some sandwich because it's getting a little windy. I don't want the tent to start flying over. So give me a second. the fact that we have to simplify, figure out reality is disturbing. No, it just shows how deep the brainwashing goes when it comes to what this reality is and what our place is in it is, and what our purpose in reality truly is. Because I can tell you for a fact that our purpose here on earth is not to work and pay taxes and play this monopoly game with made up money. 100%, that's not our purpose, right? What is our true purpose? Well, I don't know. I think we all have our own individual purposes in life. It's up to figure out what your purpose is, what makes you happy, and stuff like that. That's what you should pursue. Obviously having a clear mind, having your own critical thinking skills, and not being swayed by consensus or what people are saying, it's a start. Because if you still don't have that, then you're gonna be following a false purpose, and that's what's happening. People think that their true purpose in life is just to travel and work and save money to travel and stuff like that, which again, there's nothing wrong with traveling, obviously, but having to jump the hurdles, jump the hoops to get there, it's where the trap is. It's this economy, I hate to say it, it's working, saving, paying taxes, all of that is irrelevant, and it's literally what creates poverty. It's literally why people are dying of hunger. This is literally the reason why people are homeless. Why children are homeless and starving. That should not exist, especially being humans, right? Being the most dominant species, being the most intelligent, right? Why are we letting that happen? Why are we letting our own species suffer? Because again, it's not about saving humanity. Government is not about saving humanity and none of that. It's literally about selfish endeavors. That's what government is. They don't give a fuck about people. They just care about control and whatever that takes, to maintain that control. Whether it's dumbing people down, making people sick, it doesn't matter to the government. The government just wants control, and they don't want to lose that control. At the end of the day, yes, real people, work government ignorantly, but the people are behind the scenes, pulling the strings. The people orchestrating these, positions, of power and putting people in these positions. Again, all of that's just made up. And again, it's part of the psychological attack on humans to put them down so that they're more easily controllable. So it starts with the environment. It starts with what the earth is. Why? Because if you could believe, if you're gonna believe that the earth is something that it's not, then you're gonna believe claims like global warming, like limited resources. There's not enough land, overpopulation. All of these things are just buzzwords that people just believe because, again, they're not using their own critical thinking skills. They're just buying into what an expert says. And that's how they control us. It's through ignorance, through our own ignorance. Especially once you're an adult, because a child, they're a child. They need to trust the adults around them, for survival. So children have a past, but once you're an adult, you don't have a past anymore. You gotta basically stand up. And you gotta use your own mind, or somebody else is gonna control it. You gotta control your own mind, or someone else will control it. And that's exactly what's happening. So yeah. Again, at the end of the day, is about spreading truth about what the earth actually is or what it's not. And hopefully, people start to use their own critical thinking skills, and then they're able to grow from that mentally. Because obviously it's not fair what's happening to the majority of us. There is a very small percent that is taking advantage of this situation. But yeah, I believe in equality. I think we're all equals, 100%. Human beings, even animals. I think we're equal. Equals to animals. Nobody has a right to rule anyone else. So at the end of the day, that's what I push for, is for equality. And if people don't have critical thinking skills, if people don't trust their own common sense of what people are telling them, then it can never be there. We can never get there, you know, to what true equality would look like, because people are going to take advantage of that, you know. And yeah. Pat, I misunderstood your comment. Oh, sorry if I did, but what I say still stands. You know. If you want to clarify what you meant, Pat, that would be great. Want to put it in different words, what you were trying to say, that would be great, again. Sure, give me your number and let's talk. Are you like a motionless flat earther or a globe earther? Are you do you believe any of those two concepts? Just curious. You know, I'm just curious. Don't feel offended, you know, if I ask if you're a globe earther or a motionless flat earther, like. So just I'm literally genuinely curious. When you ask which truck is accelerating forward with the helium balloon inside, I wonder what percentage of people get it wrong. Yeah, with the helium balloon, the majority, I would say 90% of people get it wrong or don't know. But there is a few that do know. You know, obviously they've seen the experiments with the helium balloon inside containers. And those are the people that do know. But yeah, the majority of people don't know or don't even know the reasons why that happens either. You know. But yeah. Pat, I'll ask you again, are you a motionless flat earther or a globe earther? What's up, Sir Turtle Otter? What's up, Tamashitomo? Appreciate the support.
Yeah, I took the main car.
Pat, do you have thoughts on how the Earth moves, if at all? He refuses to answer simple questions. I'm going to ask you again. Give me your number and let's talk. Is that something that's difficult for you? I don't give out my personal number to anyone, especially when it comes to this subject. I have an email I have in my descriptions in my videos, so if you want to send me an email with your profound findings of whatever you believe, because you don't want to disclose that here for some reason. I don't know if you're feeling threatened or insecure to say what you believe. Like, what's wrong with that? What do you believe the Earth is? It's a simple question. It should be a simple answer. Now, if you don't have one, if you don't know, then I don't know what there is to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless you want to learn, and if you just want to learn, then this is the perfect place for you right now. To just sit wherever you are or whatever you're doing and just listen and learn. Now, if you disagree with something, please highlight it. Please highlight to everyone here and myself what you disagree with and why. You know, it's not hard. You don't have to make it difficult. You don't have to make it this whole scavenger hunt of like, oh, we'll talk in private, give me your number. Now, this is not a private conversation, first of all. So having private conversations with people is not up my alley. It's not something that I'm looking forward to. I do plan on holding open platforms in the future, open live platforms. So for anybody that wants to join, maybe you can join one of those, you know, but I'm not for having private conversations about this subject. I have private conversations with my family members, with my friends, you know, about things about our lives. About the objective reality, that's a public and open conversation. And I state that a lot of times here. That it should not be, you know, a private thing. During lives we share with the class, no secret, no passing. I know that's what he's trying to do. Like, he doesn't even want to say what he believes. Yeah, so. But again, if you want to send me an email again with your findings, that'll be great. Maybe if it's something good, I'll share it in the next live. I'll share it right now if you want to send me an email, because you don't want to put it in the chat for some reason. I'll share it if it's something good. Like, I don't know. I mean, whether you're a motionless flat earther or a globe earther, what's the reason why you believe objects accelerate down in free fall? What's the cause, the physical cause that makes an object go from being at rest when I'm holding it to accelerate down in free fall? What is the cause? What is doing that to the object to make it fall? Not only to make it fall, but to accelerate it, increase its speed every second from the previous second. You know, obviously until there's enough air resistance to stop that, right? But before we get to that, you know, what is accelerating it? What's moving it down? That's the fundamental question, you know, for globe earthers and for motionless flat earthers. You know, it's as simple as that. Now, if you're going to avoid that question and just jump into other subjects, then I don't know what to say. You're not being honest, you know, at that point. You know, you obviously have a bias, you know, and wanting your belief to be true, even though you don't have any physics. Not only that, but contradicting the actual physics that we understand and know, you know. So God help you, kiddo. Now just ad hominem attacks now. Yeah, of course. Simon, well done, Pat, huh? Let's give him a round of applause. He proved us all wrong by not saying anything. I know. He's probably gonna be one of those people that I don't have beliefs. I don't believe the earth to be anything. You know, it's like, what the fuck? Well, then you're not ready for this conversation. Then again, if you just want to learn, then yeah, you can just learn. You can watch some of my older videos. You know, if you have any questions here, I can answer them. You know, like if you're willing to learn, then yeah, you'll learn. But if you're not willing to learn and you just want to troll, then that's what's gonna happen. You're just gonna make yourself look like a fool, you know, because that's what trolls do at the end of the day. You know, they just make themselves look like fools. They're just, you know, they're just insecure people, you know. What do you say about the Earth being measured motionless? Nicosia and Morley. The Earth is not measured motionless. We have buoyancy. Buoyancy is a force, which always follows the direction of force. So the fact that there is a buoyant effect that is up shows that there is motion to the Earth. Because when air pushes a helium balloon up, or when water pushes an air bubble up, the air and water are not pushing themselves up. That's retarded. And they can't push themselves up without moving up either. That's what people think, that, oh, the air is able to push a helium balloon up, even though the air's not moving up. But something that doesn't have motion can give motion to something else. Like, what? What? Not only that, the motion of the air being pulled down and the water being pulled down is the opposite of the direction of the buoyant effect. You know, which is obviously a force. The buoyant effect is a force. It's motion of matter, you know, in the upwards direction. So to say that something is not moving can push something that is moving is retarded. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's what people choose to believe for some reason. I don't know why. It's weird. You know, especially grown-ass man, you know, grown-ass man fucking acting like children, you know, like, fuck. It's pretty crazy. But, yeah, that's the reality of our situation. A bunch of children, or childlike mentalities in adult bodies. Not only is that crazy, but it's pretty scary, too. Because, you know, you're unpredictable, you're unhinged, you know. And that's why people are capable of doing horrible things, you know, because they have a childlike impulsive mentality in an adult body, you know. That's where people like to take, you know, that's where people take advantage of other people, because they're impulsive, they're, you know, they're emotional, they're unstable, you know, like children. Children have to learn to be, you know, to control their emotions, for example, you know, to think rationally, for example, you know, that's something that we kind of have to learn and apply, you know, through experience, right? But if you never exercise these traits of a human, then yeah, you're just gonna be an unstable human being with a childlike mentality. You know, and that's pretty scary, if you ask me. It's pretty scary, you know. And then you add drugs into the equation, which a lot of people are on fucking drugs, whether pharmaceuticals or street drugs. There's a huge chunk of the population that are just doped out all the time. Imagine adding the instability and now adding drugs to that. It's a recipe for disaster, literally. You know, and yeah, unfortunately a lot of people get to experience that, and it's not good, you know. People are just too far disconnected from their true self, from their own being, you know. It's sad and scary at the same time, you know, but it's the ugly reality that we all live right now, you know. Accelerometers do detect vectors, unfortunately, for you, Farscape. Here, I'll show you how accelerometers detect the vector of the Earth. Let's see, I think I should have that video here. Here it is. Here, I'll show you. Oh, damn. Okay, I have to remove one of these. I'll remove that one. Okay, here you go. So the second part, I'll let this video play because it's short. But not only do accelerometers detect force, they also detect vector. You know, so if you watch this whole video, you'll see what I'm getting to. So here, let me make it bigger for those of you that. That's a little too big. Make it a little smaller. There we go. Okay, so here it is. Let me put the volume up.
A digital accelerometer is a device that detects the presence of a force or acceleration. For example, when at rest and connected to the earth, it detects 1 g-force. As soon as I accelerate it from being at rest, the accelerometer detects that acceleration by increasing the g-force. Whether I accelerate it to the right, to the left, up, or down, the accelerometer will always detect the acceleration 100% of the time. However, the instant I put the accelerometer into freefall, it detects a deceleration. It goes from 1 g down to 0. If the accelerometer was accelerating down in freefall, it would detect that acceleration by increasing from 1 g, not decreasing. Not only does the accelerometer show that there's no detectable acceleration in freefall, it also shows that the vector or force of the Earth is up.
So this part is for you to show that accelerometers do detect the vector of the Earth and do detect vectors. So this is your part.
When I switch to the vector tab of the accelerometer, we can see when at rest on Earth, it detects that the vector or force is down, as shown by the green line. However, the vector on the phone is inverted because when I apply a force to the right, the vector goes to the left. And when I apply a force to the left, the vector goes to the right. When I apply a force down, the vector inverts up. And when I apply a force up, the downwards vector increases, showing that the vector on the phone is inverted from the true direction of the force, or vector. So when the phone is at rest on the Earth and knowing that the vector is inverted, the direction of the force, or vector, is up. Also, when the accelerometer is in free fall, the vector completely vanishes, showing that it's not being accelerated down by any force, which proves that the force or vector of the Earth is up, not down.
So again, very simple. If you were following the video, the little green line that was showing the direction of the vector in that graph. So obviously the vectors on cell phones are inverted. You know, when you just have it at rest, it shows that the vector is down, but when you actually apply force and move it in a particular direction, the vector goes in the opposite direction the phone is actually moving. You know, I wonder why they did that, huh? Kind of weird, right? It's almost like they're trying to deceive people. It's almost like they're trying to, like, you know, manipulate, you know, the accelerometers to give the results that they want, right? But again, when you actually put it to the test, you can easily prove to yourself that that vector is inverted. It goes in the opposite direction of the true vector, you know. So when you have it at rest and that vector is showing that it's down, in reality is up. And again, anyone can prove that to themselves. Hello. All right, so 2 very easy questions, multiple choice, to see if you guys can get them. So here I have 3 box trucks. They're completely sealed. They're all on a level surface, and they all have an apple inside hanging from a string. The only difference between these 3 box trucks is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
B.
Yes, how did you guys know B is at rest?
Because this is the one where it's moving forward because the force would cause it to get pushed backwards, and in reverse it would cause the pendulum to be pushed forward.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, you got it. So this one obviously is at rest because there's no motion whatsoever. This one, the apple's actually not swinging back. It's being left behind because the truck's moving forward. So the apple's just being left behind due to inertia. But yeah, this one is accelerating forward and this one's reverse. You got it. Perfect. So the second one is pretty similar, but instead of an apple now, it's a helium balloon inside. So out of these 3, which one is at rest? B. Yeah, it is B, and it's for the same reason as the force, is because because there's no motion. It's vertical, right? Which one is accelerating forward? Which truck is accelerating forward? Here, I'll help you guys out a little bit. So a helium balloon is a buoyant object. It's buoyant, it floats, right? This is also a buoyant object because it's floating in water. So this ball represents the balloon, right? Right now it's at rest, so it's vertical. But I'm gonna accelerate it this way and watch what happens to the ball. If you wanna back up a little bit so you can take a good look at it. Did you see what direction it went? Exactly. So out of these three, which one is accelerating forward?
C.
It is C, yeah. Now there's two reasons why that happens. Do you happen to know why? So
The velocity of the fluid decreases the pressure.
No, it has to do with the density difference. So air is more dense than helium. That's the first reason. And second reason is a force. So depending on the direction of force that's being applied to the truck, that's the direction that the air is also going to be forced. And because air is more dense than helium, air is able to push the balloon with it. So in the direction of the force. So you need a force, and that dictates what direction it moves. You know, so here, I recreated this experiment inside of a cargo van. It's basically both questions in one. So I want to see if you guys can get it. So I have a helium balloon and an apple hanging from a string, obviously, inside a cargo van. So what direction did I accelerate this van?
Forward.
This way? You got it. Yeah, because that's the direction that the air was forced, and that's the direction the air was able to push the helium. And then the apple just got left behind. You know, so it looks like the apple and the helium balloon are moving away from each other, right? This is a bonus question. It looks like the apple and the helium balloon are moving away from each other, but in reality, only one is moving away from the other. So out of the apple and the helium balloon, which one is actually moving away from the other? The balloon, yes, is moving away from the apple. The apple's not moving away from the balloon, you know, because it's just being left behind. Exactly. You guys got it. Okay, last question before you guys go. If I have a helium balloon here on Earth and I release it, what direction does it go? It goes up. There's two reasons why it goes up. What do you guys think?
Because of the density of air and helium.
Yes, the difference in density. Air is more dense than helium. But where's the second reason? Because the balloon doesn't go left or right or down, it goes up. So the second reason has to do with that. It does have to do with gravity, yes. But here, I don't know if you guys knew, gravity as a pulling force is just a theory. In other words, it has never been proven or measured. So it doesn't exist, in other words. That's because the fact is, the force of the Earth is not a downwards pull, it's an upwards push. So right now the Earth is pushing up against your feet, not pulling you down towards it. And that upwards motion, that upwards push of the Earth is what's pushing up the air, and that's why air is able to push up helium. You know, and that's the true force of the Earth. It's the normal force. I don't know if you guys heard of that force. Yes, that's the only force that exists. So this is the real reason why I'm doing this. You guys believe the Earth is a ball, right? Yeah. Do you guys understand that on a ball, up is relative? So if you're standing here, up is this way, but if you're standing down here, up is this way. And every direction away from the center is up on a ball because it's relative, right? If we could prove physically that gravity is not a downwards pull of the Earth, but in fact is an upwards push of the Earth, how can the Earth push up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball?
Because it's like an inwards force, like according to Newton's law of universal gravitation.
Well, you're saying that's an inwards force, that's a pulling
No, like,
force.
it's not an inwards force, but like a directional force between two objects.
Yeah. So because the Earth has more mass than everything else, would you say it pulls it down towards it?
It's pulling it towards like the center of mass between the Earth.
Yeah, but physics shows that not only is pulling force of gravity is just a theory, which has never been proven, but it also shows us that the force of the Earth, again, the normal force is an upwards push of the Earth, which requires the Earth to be pushing up, moving up. So when I release this doesn't go down to the Earth, it's the Earth that comes up to meet this. So what would happen to the Earth if it was moving up and it was a ball at the same time?
If it moved up, then wouldn't that mean that someone on the other side of the Earth would like feel a jump if the Earth actually rose to the side of the ball?
Exactly. So what?
It's you and the Earth moving towards each other, like towards your center. Of
So
mass.
here's what will happen. If the Earth was moving up and was a ball, that would mean the Earth will have to be expanding to be able to push up in all directions at the same time. It would just explode. It wouldn't work. So in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in gravity being a pull of the Earth, because if we could prove that it's an upwards push, that would destroy the whole heliocentric model. It wouldn't work, not even on paper.
I mean, it is kind of like, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like you have the Earth, which has significantly more mass and
Yes.
radius compared to like you as a human. So it's like, it's according to Newton's like King, it's the
It's just gravitational.
But that gravity you're talking about, a pull of the Earth, is just
It's not
a
like-
theory.
It's not a pull. It's just like an interior object force.
You're talking about like the what is it? Einstein's theory of relativity.
Not relativity. It's Newton's law of universal gravitation.
Okay, you're talking about just mass attracting mass.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. You see, that kind of force has never been proven physically here on Earth. That's why it remains a theory and will always remain a theory because that kind of force doesn't exist.
I mean, it's been proven in microgravitational climates, like in space. So.
Well, again, you just have to believe that, in other words, because again, the only force that exists here on Earth is pressure. There's differences of pressure. So something pushing on something else to make it move. So an engine, anything that has motion requires something to push up against. Even the tires on your car, they need to have grip to be able to push off of the road, to make the car move. And all the components of an engine, it requires something pushing on something else. It's all push. This idea of a pull of an object moving another object just by being bigger, that's just theoretical. That's like Harry Potter physics. It doesn't exist. Cartoon physics, in other words. In reality, that force has never been demonstrated or proven. So again,
Why do we fall back to the Earth?
so the Earth is not a ball, it's just an extended level plane that's pushing up in one direction. That's the reality. So everybody's up is the same, not relative.
How people travel around the Earth then?
So people travel around the Earth because they travel around a center point. So the North Pole is just the center of the Earth. So all the continents are just spread open around the center. So when people go east and west and make a whole circle around, they're just making a circle around a center
If we
point.
go north towards the North Pole, I tried to circle around that.
Nobody's ever actually done a north to south navigation. That flight doesn't exist. Nobody has ever done it.
If
You can look it up.
If you rose in a helium balloon, then why can't you see like, the pyramids of Giza and like, the Eiffel Tower?
There's two reasons why. So the first reason is we do have a limit of perspective. So your eyes and even cameras, they have a limit to how far they can see.
Our eyes can see pretty.
Yeah, they can see far. I agree.
Like they should be able to see much further than we would be able to see the Earth.
Well, we do have a limit of perspective, and it's very limited. If you increase
But
your
it's far
altitude, you
enough.
see further. And here's another thing: even if we had infinite vision, the reason why you wouldn't be able to see forever either, because the atmosphere gets in the way. Just like you're looking through fog and miles of fog. Eventually, you won't
If
be able
you
to see.
rise high enough and you go like past like I'd say like just like the layers of smog that surrounds like every city, you can still literally see the curvature of the Earth if you rise high enough. Like I've been in like a plane before, you can see the Earth.
Sure, I'll show you. Look,
Yeah.
so are you guys familiar with the GoPro wide-angle lens?
Yeah.
Action cameras, all action cameras have this wide angle, right? It warps horizontal lines. So when people are skydiving or flying in that, so this is what the Earth actually looks like without a GoPro lens. Let me show you. So not only is the horizon always horizontal.
But do you notice how you're at sea level in this picture?
Yeah, I'm going
while
to show
you're
you one for 20 miles in the
further
sky.
up?
Here it is. So this is over 20 miles in the sky, and the horizon is still horizontal without a fisheye lens.
So-
this is a standard how our eyes see the horizon.
So I've been in like multiple like helicopters and like planes before, where like I've been in like open door helicopters as well,
Fair
where
enough.
there isn't like you can't claim that like the glass is like distorting my perspective. And once I rise high enough, I literally can see the curvature of the Earth. Though.
How do you see the curvature, left to right? Like you see a curvature like this, or you just can't see past the horizon? Is that what
No,
you
so
think?
I can see that's part of it, but I can also like physically see like the Earth like slightly warp towards the end and like bend.
So you think it bends like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Again, these images will literally contradict what you're saying, because this is way higher than I would believe you went. Because this is
Proof
over.
that those images aren't edited.
Yeah, I feel like.
Oh, you can. There's hundreds of helium balloon footage online that people have recorded. That again, they're like 4 or 5 hours long. They're pretty long because obviously a giant helium balloon takes a while to reach this
Yeah, it
altitude.
does.
But you can watch the whole video in its entirety and show that these images are not doctored. You can do an experiment
What
yourself
about
as well.
pictures from space?
Yes, so pictures from space of the Earth as a ball. Yeah, I can show you these right here. Look. So these are NASA official images of the Earth. This one's from 2002 and this one's 2012. They admit that they're photoshopped. So a real photograph of the Earth from outer space doesn't exist.
Do you have any proof where they admit that they're photoshopped? Because I definitely believe that they use color correction here, but I highly doubt that they just fully photoshopped these.
Yeah,
images.
they take strips of energy. You could look this up, but they take strips of, because they say they can't go high enough, so they take strips of imagery of the Earth and they stitch them together in Photoshop and create this image. Because in reality, it doesn't exist. They can't just take a snapshot of the Earth as a ball, because not only can't go high enough, but because the Earth is not a ball.
Are there
That's-
no pictures of the Earth from the ISS?
The ISS.
So I looked this up,
Yeah.
and the first thing that shows up is conspiracy debunked.
Right.
NASA
Right.
photoshops images. So
Yeah. But again, they can say they're real. As I was gonna say, if I show you an image of me flying, would you believe I could fly? And if I told you it was real,
But if you show me an image of the Earth being straight, then how how can you prove that?
Because you can
like,
prove
for
it to
example,
yourself.
the image here.
Yeah, you
How
can.
do
You
how do
can.
prove that's real?
You can not only can you send a giant helium balloon.
You
out.
can send a big satellite into space and take pictures.
Yeah,
of
and
that
if they don't
satellite.
have a GoPro camera attached to it, it's gonna show a horizontal.
I doubt that NASA is using
yeah,
GoPro.
I agree. This is true because in space you don't typically send fisheye lenses. You typically send an actual medium format or full format camera to.
So you guys 100% believe that there is curvature to the Earth, right? Okay, so here's another proof that would debunk the globe Earth. You guys know the radius of the Earth by any chance?
Wait, why would they lie to us about it, by the way?
I'll get to that after, because that's irrelevant to the physics that debunks it, but I'll get to that. But do you guys know the radius of the Earth by any chance?
Not the specific number, but
Okay, but I mean, if we're going to measure for curvature, we should know how much curvature we're measuring for, right? If we're going to measure. So they tell us the radius of the Earth is 3,959 miles, which if we multiply that times pi, we get the circumference, which is 24,901. So using a simple calculation like the
Did you
pi,
multiply 2 times pi?
yeah, you multiply the radius times pi, which is 3.14.
Radius
The radius, which
times
is
2 pi.
no times pi.
Am I tweaking?
Or,
Two
it
pi
could
r
it could
is
be the
the-
diameter. I think it's the radius times pi.
2
but-
pi r is
It's
the
2 pi r.
circumference.
Okay, so it's diameter times pi then. If I'm wrong, so thanks for correcting me. But point being is, using a simple calculation like the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, we can calculate for how much curvature there should be based on the radius they're giving us. And it turns out that based on the radius they're giving us, there should be 8 inches per mile square of
Are we
curvature.
thinking of the same curvature?
Yes, this is the curvature that the...
Wait, we've been like losing for a while. You guys should come. It's actually kind of interesting.
join us, yeah.
Okay, so basically the Earth is flat and it's actually a big circle that rises to
Actually,
beat us every time.
I've seen this exact proof of the flat Earth theorem.
No,
before,
but look
and-
up...
You have.
Yeah, but with the Pythagorean theorem, like in my seventh
So
grade math
it's
class,
flat?
this was an example.
It's level.
It's flat.
Level.
It's level. It's level.
It's a level
And
plane.
technically, if you were to walk long enough in one direction, you would see the pyramids. I'm guessing.
Yeah, if you get closer to them,
And
eventually
every
you'll
time
see
you
them.
jump, the Earth actually rises up to me. Why does the Earth
Yes.
rise up to meet you?
Well, that's part of the creation. The Earth is a created system. Nobody knows the cause of what's
Yes, sir.
pushing up
Created
the
by
Earth.
So I
People call it God. I don't believe in any God, though. I just acknowledge that it is a creation.
okay, wait, hold up. So
Would
I
you believe me
actually
if I told you I was God?
You're a creation of God, for sure.
okay, wait, hold up. So I remember seeing this in my like seventh grade math class. Like we
I'm
had
not
a-
religious, by the way. Just
Yeah.
pointing that out. Yeah.
we had a substitute teacher who showed us this like exact same thing, and then he proved it wrong. So basically, if you walk across the prime meridian, like 10,000
Was your
kilometers.
substitute teacher named
you take-
Gemini?
No, this is I'm looking up the proof right now on Google, but this is actually in my seventh grade math class.
Google Gemini.
Yeah. No, but basically, if you take a 90-degree turn and you walk another 10,000 kilometers,
Yes.
by your flat Earth theorem, it should be approximately. I think the square root of 2 is like 1.41, so on 14,000 kilometers. So that's how far you
anything?
should
I
be
can't see anything.
from the distance. And people have actually shown that this is false, and you're actually only 10,000 kilometers away from the origin, which does prove that the Earth is a sphere and not.
Okay, so
flat.
I've heard of that claim. First of all, that's just a claim, a baseless claim, because nobody's actually ever done that in a video, for example, to show that they went in a straight line, turn 90 degrees, went in a straight line, turn 90 degrees. So that's just a baseless claim, first of all. Second,
Rashawn, we should
if
go
the
over it
Earth
again.
was a ball, it needs to have curvature in order to create a ball. Would you agree or disagree?
Yeah, and it does have curvature.
Okay, so here's how we debunk the Earth has zero curvature. So again, based on this, there should be 8 inches per mile square of curvature, which means in the first mile there should be an 8-inch drop, second mile 32 inches, and by the third mile there should be 6 feet of curvature. And you can Google this. That's even the globe Earth proponents acknowledge that. 6 feet of curvature in 3 miles. So how do we measure for that? Easy. If we went out to a giant lake that was 3 miles across filled with water, and we build a level structure above that water, the water is going to be parallel to anything horizontal when it's contained and at rest, because that's the physics of water. The water takes the shape of the container, but the surface always equalizes to a level, which is horizontal. They're trying to tell us that the surface of every lake is bending 6 feet in 3 miles and
Well, I feel like
66 feet
the
in 10
water
miles.
would still
Exactly. This
be
is,
high
yeah,
enough
and
to be level.
This is true, and also in the real world, like this is theoretical physics. In the real world, water isn't necessarily always like a parallel plane. Like if you look at the ocean, there's differences in the depth and like height of the
The
ocean.
high tide and low
That's
tide, I
it.
agree. The high tide and low tide have to do with the direction of the upwards force of the Earth, because in my opinion, the Earth is not moving in a perfectly straight line.
Why does it move upwards? How can you prove the
'Cause-
upwards force? If you can't prove gravity, how do you prove
Buoyancy. So buoyancy is an upwards push. You
Are
can
you
look
saying
it
that
up.
the Earth is less heavy than the air?
No.
around it?
So when a helium balloon rises or an air bubble rises in water, that means that the medium that surrounds it is more dense and is pushing it up.
So are you saying that the Earth is less
The
dense?
Earth is pushing up all
So-
the medium.
Oh, the Earth, not gravity pushing down.
No, it's the Earth literally moving up right
So
now.
actually,
So the Earth
Wait,
is like
if,
an
no, if the
elevator.
Earth is moving up, doesn't that
That's what
mean
gravity
that
is.
it's less dense than the?
But-
No.
Okay,
There
so-
is a mechanism to
I
the
mean-
Earth's motion. I just don't know what that is.
So,
Nobody's
okay,
been
hold
outside of the
on,
Earth.
one second. I get what you're saying, and
Wait, can
we
you
know
finish?
it wrong to a certain extent, where like the Earth is somewhat pushing up on the person, but then Newton's law of universal gravitation shows that it's an attractive force towards the center of mass between you and the Earth. So since the Earth has a significantly higher mass than like a human, which I'm sure you agree,
Yeah,
amount the Earth moves is infinitesimally smaller than the amount the human moves towards the Earth. So as a result, it's mostly the human being pulled towards the center of mass rather than the Earth being pulled towards the center of mass because of the significantly higher mass of the Earth compared to the human.
Yeah, I've heard that theory, and it's just an
And it's
explanation
not a
with
theory,
nothing.
It's literally a scientific law. It's been proven like experimentally, like countless
No,
times.
but what if it was actually the Earth?
The Earth is pushing you up. It's not
Badly,
pulling you
bro.
down.
Yeah,
It's
I
that
agree.
simple.
No, you're both.
No, you can't agree to
reached
both
on
because
something
when I
that
release
didn't.
an object into free fall, you believe that this moves down to the Earth.
Yeah, and the
but
Earth
the
is
reality
also moving
is the Earth
several
moving up to this
picometers
object.
upwards at the same time.
Yeah, low-key
The
is,
Earth
low-key
cannot
is.
pull and push at the same time. Not only that, but
So
pull
it's-
as a force
the Earth
doesn't
isn't pushing,
exist.
they're both
So actually, if
attractive.
you know like Newton's law, you know that every action has an equal and opposite
Yes,
reaction.
Yes,
Like,
yeah.
literally everything pushes and pulls at the same time.
No, there's resistance to matter because matter has inertia. So that's the equal and opposite reaction. So the reason why you have weight is because the Earth is pushing up against you, but your body's resisting that push. So that's the equal and opposite reaction, and that's why you have weight. So the more mass you have, the more resistance you're gonna have, which means the more weight you're gonna have.
Exactly.
So again, that's the reality.
So you're saying that the more resistance you have, the more mass, the more mass you have, the more resistance you have, right?
That was pretty funny.
The Earth moves like several orders of magnitude smaller than
No,
the
but
amount
you're
you move
claiming
down towards Earth.
resistance and force are two different things. You're saying that you're trying to apply resistance to force.
Wait, resistance?
Wait, you just said
Hey guys, one at a time,
resistance
one at a time.
You just said like
the
when,
point that you're trying
when
to
you're on the ground and you're saying this resistance that you feel
You're
is the
resisting-
force from the Earth.
Yeah, you know, like
So
when you
resistance is force. You just said
no,
that.
you need resistance to have force.
Okay.
Yeah.
We gotta tap out.
All right, no worries, no worries.
Yo, you are not gonna stay here.
Here, I can give you my my channel if you want to take a look.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm live streaming now, and
actually,
I go
Loki
to
can-
other universities as well, USC. Yeah, no worries, man. You too.
Wait, actually, can I go?
Yeah. I'm live streaming too right now. You guys can check it out. Thank you. Here, I'll give you one too.
You're really good at rage baiting, though.
All right.
Have a good day.
All right, you too, man. No, yeah, they just couldn't take it. It was too much. It was good though. It was good. I surprisingly, I still enjoy that conversation. You know, it's cool when there's resistance to this subject because now we can start picking their brains, start picking their logic, right? And it all comes back to theories at the end of the day. So, but yeah, it's good when there's resistance. But it's not okay to force the information when there's a lot of resistance, right? Because then it's not gonna be good at that point. Two pretty good conversations already, so that's pretty good. Can ask for more. They're coming back. Let's see what they say.
Hello, can we get a recording of our conversation?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna be uploading this. If you guys follow the channel,
Okay, chill.
I'll be uploading it.
Okay, great. Also, you might want to put that camera a little bit further away from
Yeah,
your
because
face.
we checked the live stream and it's like not like properly.
It's like 0.5.
Trust me, I'm not even worried about it. You know, I'm worried about this one mainly.
Okay,
People's reaction. All right, no worries.
Is that a GoPro?
Yeah, it's a DJI. Yeah. Yeah, so they're obviously can't keep up with the comments on the screen, but Face truth. Hey Will, does the Earth catch up to raindrops? Yes. Yes, raindrops don't accelerate down to the Earth. The Earth catches up to raindrops. Yes. Rain don't fall. It's like Farscape, do you think your exhaust pipe is pushing you down the road? Combustion is what moves you. Exhaust is just a byproduct of combustion. Again, when we start talking about what will happen in space, right? I've kind of like learned this through entertaining these conversations, is that when we start talking about outer space and what will happen in outer space, but in outer space this happens, in outer space this happens, that's no different than saying that in Narnia this will happen. In Narnia there's different physics, you know. In Narnia, you know, you can jump 20 times higher in Narnia, and in Narnia you can run the speed of light in Narnia. It's like we're talking about a place that doesn't even exist, that no human being has ever been to. So starting to debate what will happen in this place that human beings have never been to, it's retarded. Again, I hate to say it, you know. So again, jumping into these conversations, well, in outer space, this and this will happen. Again, because just because people believe that human beings are going to outside of the Earth reference frame and going to this space of nothingness and you just float there, it's like me claiming that I'm teleporting to Narnia and I'm teleporting to another dimension. And in this other dimension, we have different physics. The laws of physics on Earth don't apply because I'm in another dimension. Therefore, I can bring those physics here to Earth and claim that that's what's happening here on Earth. Like, how illogical is that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like literally, like when I put it in a different perspective, but using the same logic, you can see how quickly it falls apart. Imagine somebody claiming that, oh, well, if I teleport to another dimension, I can jump 10 times higher. So that proves that I can jump 10 times higher here. Like, what? I could fly in another dimension. So yeah, I could be buoyant in another dimension. So that proves that something that's more dense in air can be buoyant, because I could do that in another dimension. Like, that's the logic that you're jumping into when we start talking about what happens in outer space and what would happen in outer space. So again, we're jumping into a realm that no human being has ever been to, and in reality it's just a concept. Outer space is just a concept that only exists on paper and in morons' imaginations, you know. And again, I don't mean to say moron in a hateful way. I'm doing it in the most respectful way I can, you know. Again, I guess calling somebody a moron is not respectful, but I guess it's kind of an oxymoron, right? But I mean, I don't know what else to call it. It's, you know, for lack of a better term, it's dumb, it's stupid, you know. But yeah, that's just a reality, you know. So entertaining these conversations about outer space, it's just irrelevant. It's irrelevant to the dimensions and the curvature of the Earth that people claim is there, because we don't have to go to outer space or look in the sky to physically measure for curvature here on Earth. It's just the reality. If we want to physically measure the curvature of the Earth, then we do it here on Earth, because we're literally standing on the Earth. So we just have to measure the ground we're standing on. But obviously the ground is uneven. We have valleys, we have mountains, so there's high points and low points. You know what doesn't have high points and low points? A surface of water, like in a lake. The surface of water on a lake will always be horizontal, especially if it's just one body of water. Now, if you have another separate body of water from that main body of water that's at a higher altitude, then yeah, that surface of that water is going to be at a higher elevation than the surface of this lake, you know, that's in a lower elevation, you know. But one body of water, regardless of how long it stretches, is never going to have curvature on the surface, which is what should happen if the Earth was a ball, because gravity is pulling everything towards the center. So eventually, if the lake's long enough, that surface of water should start bending because it's being forced by the pulling force of gravity. Again, a theory, you know, that's never been proven or measured or detected, but people want to believe that. But that's what should happen, is the surface of water start to bend to follow that curvature of the Earth, you know. But that doesn't happen. There's lakes that are 100 miles long. There should be over a mile of curvature in 100 miles. A mile of curvature. Think about a mile in distance, right? Now turn that vertically. Imagine a mile of curvature. You're gonna tell me that's not gonna be measurable or detectable? It should be, but it's not. Because water doesn't bend. The surface of water, when contained and at rest, especially one body of water, even if it's 100 miles long, the surface of that water will always be a level surface, which is horizontal, which is a direct contradiction of the globe Earth claim. They claim that there should be an 8-inch per mile square curvature based on the radius they're telling us. So there should be a 66-foot drop in just a 10-mile distance. Now, 66 feet is like a 6-story building. I mean, that's tall. A 6-story building is pretty high. You know, that distance it's a lot. It's a lot of curvature in 10 miles, 66 feet. But it's just not there. It doesn't exist. Nobody's ever physically measured that curvature. You know how they measured it supposedly? Oh, looking at a distance and watching the, oh look, the building, the bottom of that building. I can't see the bottom of that building, therefore that's the curvature of the earth. But again, we do have a limit of perspective. There's a limit to how far our eyes can see. So the base of that building is going to be blocked by the water or land in front of it because, again, due to perspective, everything shrinks to a point. So before the building gets to shrink to a point, the land in front of it blocks the bottom, which gives you the illusion that there's a hump of earth blocking it. But in reality, it's just perspective. You know, again, people will dismiss perspective for some reason and just say, no, that's the curvature of the earth. And the ship disappears from the bottom up. Well, yeah, because the bottom of the boat is closer to the water than the top. I wouldn't expect the top to disappear first. And again, if the boat is tall enough to disappear due to only perspective, then the water is going to obscure the bottom of that boat before it disappears to a point, especially if you use binoculars. So yeah, the bottom of the boat's going to disappear first due to perspective. And because the water is, the hull is closer to the water than the sail. So yeah, the bottom of the boat is going to disappear first, again, due to perspective, not a curve. Because if there was a curve when a boat disappears over the horizon, then that curvature should be measurable on every lake on Earth. But it's not. You know, it's literally that simple. Again, I'm not trying to, like, you know, spread hate or anything. Maybe that's what people feel. Like, I don't know. Like, they feel attacked. Again, I'm not trying to attack anyone. It's just the facts. You know, I'm just representing the facts. You know, now whether people want to deny the facts or not, then that's up to you. Whether you have a bias, whether you have, you know, certain belief that you just want to keep, that's a personal problem. Reality is not going to change to fit your beliefs, right? That's why you shouldn't have beliefs when it comes to the objective world. When it comes to real natural science, physics, beliefs are irrelevant. That's the opposite of what science is meant to be. Science is the method of proving things, of measuring things, of testing things, and repeating that process by every single one of us to say that, oh shit, that is true. We can all test that and repeat the test and get the same results, right? So when it comes to measuring the earth, for example, the substance here on earth, water, you know, in specific, water is always going to show that it's always going to be a horizontal surface when contained and at rest. Matter, physics, is always going to show that buoyancy always follows the direction of force, because whatever object is buoyant is less dense than the medium that surrounds it. So depending on the direction that the medium that surrounds it is being forced, that's the same direction the buoyant object is also going to be forced or pushed. Something that's more dense than that is just going to be left behind. So it's only going to give you an appearance of motion. Something that's more dense than the medium that surrounds it, moving in a particular direction, is only an apparent motion. The true motion is in the direction of buoyancy. That's the true force. So when you let a helium balloon go and an apple go, only one of those is moving away from the other. They're not moving away from each other. It's the helium balloon that's moving away from the apple, and the apple is just being left behind until the earth crashes into it. So that's what happens. When you release an apple, it's not being forced down towards the earth. It's being left back due to inertia. Because an apple has more mass, it has more resistance that the air is not able to push it up like a helium balloon. The helium balloon doesn't have enough inertia. It doesn't have enough mass or density to resist that upwards push, so it goes with the push. An apple does. An apple is more dense than the air that surrounds it. So guess what? An apple is able to resist that upwards push by the air, but not until the earth crashes into it. So that's what's happening in reality. An apple falls due to inertia, not a force. Because the force of the earth is an upwards push and upwards motion of the earth. You know, whether people like it or not, that's the reality. You know, they inverted the physics to sell the globe earth model, to lie to people about where we live, and ultimately to stump people's critical thinking skills so that they just obey authority with no question, so that they're more easily controllable. So this whole lie is literally to dumb people down so that they're more easily controllable. That's just what it is. You know? I hate to break it to you, you know, but that's just the reality. You know? It's sad, I know, it sucks. It sucks. Trust me, when I found this out 10 years ago, trust me, I was a huge fan of outer space. I was a huge fan of aliens and this whole fucking nonsense of extraterrestrials coming from outer space and other planets and other intelligence coming from the void of nothingness. Like all of that, I was all about. So when I came across this subject, trust me, I didn't want it not to be a globe. You know, I was just honest with myself. And I came to the realization that the whole globe earth is just a concept that only exists on paper. Physics, natural science, shows otherwise. Shows not only that the globe earth is physically impossible, it literally defies physics, but it clearly shows that the earth is a level extended plane. How far it extends? Who knows? I don't know how far it extends. Maybe the militaries have figured that out. Maybe that's why they have so many fucking presence of an army or fucking navy. I don't know who the fuck, but in Antarctica, right, in the south regions, so supposedly, again, these are just stories, but maybe they're exploring the earth as we speak, trying to find the boundaries, trying to find the limits of this place, while everyone else believes that we live in a tiny little delicate rock that can be hit by an asteroid any second, and boom, there goes human existence, right? Not only that, they want people to believe that human existence came from fucking evolution. So in other words, a fucking bacteria evolved into fish, and then a fish somehow evolved into a mammal, like a rat, and then that evolved into a monkey, and then a monkey evolved into a human. So they want you to believe that you were just an accident that came from fucking a bacterial soup that exploded from nothing. Again, violating the first law of thermodynamics, that something can't come from nothing. You know, that's a simple fact of this reality that debunks this stupid ass Big Bang fucking evolution story. Something cannot come from nothing, and you can make something disappear. It's that simple. You know. What's up?
Whoa.
You want to give this a shot? Yeah, all right. 2 very easy multiple choice questions. So here's the first one. So I have 3 box trucks here. They're all on a level surface. They're completely sealed, and they all have an apple hanging from a string inside. The only difference between these 3 box trucks is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
Sorry, can you repeat the question again? The ringing.
No worries. So 3 box trucks here. They all have an apple hanging from a string inside.
Okay.
So the only difference between these 3 is that one truck is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3 box trucks, which one is at rest?
Which one? So which one's not moving? At
Yes,
rest?
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, which one's at rest, which one's not moving?
A.
You think A's at rest?
Yeah.
No, it's not A. You can try again if you want. B or C, which one's at rest?
So when you say at rest, you mean like just like
It's just parked. It's not moving at all.
Okay.
It's just parked.
Oh, B.
It's B. Yeah. What would you say B?
Because the ball is not moving.
Yeah, that's simple. Literally. All right. Which one's accelerating forward? What truck is accelerating forward? Between A and C.
C.
You think C is accelerating forward?
I think I'm overthinking this. It's A.
It is A.
Yeah, and then C is
It's accelerating in
yeah.
reverse.
I think I was overthinking it.
Yeah, you were overthinking. So the reason why this happens is because the apple's being left behind.
Yeah.
So when you accelerate forward, again, the apple just remains in its position due to inertia.
Yeah.
And it only appears to swing back, but that's because the truck's moving forward.
Yeah.
So the truck's moving, not the apple.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, perfect. So the second one, pretty similar, but instead of an apple, is a helium balloon inside now.
Okay.
So out of these three, which one is at rest?
I'd say B again.
Yeah, it is B. And
Yeah.
it's for the same reason as the first,
Yeah.
because there's no motion.
Yeah.
Which one is accelerating forward? Here, I'll help you out with this one a little bit. So a helium balloon is buoyant. In other
Yeah.
words, it floats,
Yeah.
right? This is also a buoyant object because it's floating in water. So
Right.
this ball represents the balloon, right?
Right.
So right now it's vertical because it's at rest. It's not moving. I'm going to accelerate it in this direction and see what happens to the ball, what direction it goes. If you want to go a little further back so you can see it. Do you see what direction it went?
Yeah.
So
If it accelerating, it's C.
yeah, accelerating forward is C. So now there's two reasons why that happens. Do you happen to know why?
Because once you move forward, I don't know how physics works. It pushes the.
It has to do with a push,
Yeah.
yeah, because you need a force. That's
Yeah,
a
you
push.
need a force.
But there's also a density difference. The air is more dense than the helium. So wherever the direction the air is being forced, that's
Yeah.
the direction that the air is going to be able to push or force the helium balloon as well.
Yeah.
Same thing with the water. The water is more dense than this ball. So whatever direction I force the water, that's the direction the water is going to push the ball, because that's what a buoyant effect would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. So here, let me show you. I recreated this experiment inside of a cargo van, and it's basically both questions in one. So I have a helium balloon and an apple. So what direction would you say I force this container, this van, to the right or to the left?
To the right.
Yes, exactly, because the balloon got pushed forward by the air, which obviously was being pushed by the van.
Right.
The apple just got left behind,
Yeah.
in reality. So
Because it's heavier and it stays.
yes, because it's heavier. The air's not dense enough to push the
Yeah.
apple.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So it looks like, here's a bonus question. It looks like the apple and the helium balloon are moving away from each other, right?
Right.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
But in reality, only one is moving away from the other. So they're both,
Right.
they're not both moving away from each other. Only one is
Right.
moving away from. Well, so out of the apple and the helium balloon, which one is moving away from the other?
The apple.
No, you had it the first.
Oh, the helium.
The helium balloon is moving away from the
Got
apple
it.
because
Yeah,
the
yeah.
apple is just being left behind. It's
Being-
not-
yeah.
And the balloon is actually moving forward.
Right.
It's being pushed forward. So the balloon is moving away from the apple.
Yeah.
Not the other way around.
Got it.
Yeah. So one last question before you go. If I have a helium balloon here on Earth and I release it, what direction does it go?
Up.
Yes. There's two reasons why it goes up.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Because we have a gravitational pull that's pushing downwards. So if it's
So gravity is the first reason.
Yeah.
What's the second reason?
lack of density.
So a difference in density.
Yeah.
So the air is more dense than helium.
Yeah.
So the air is able to push up
Push
the
it up,
helium.
yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I don't know if you knew gravity as a pulling force is only a theory. In other words, it has never been measured or detected
Yeah.
because it actually doesn't exist.
Mm.
So the actual force of the Earth is not a downwards pull; it's
Yeah.
an upwards push. So the Earth
Mm.
is pushing up against your feet right now. It's not pulling you down towards it. And that
Okay.
upwards push of the Earth is what's pushing up the air, and that's why we have air pressure, and that's why the air is able to push helium balloons up because that's the direction of the force of the
Yeah,
Earth. Yeah. So here's the real reason why I'm doing this. You believe the Earth is a ball, right?
Yeah.
So on a ball, up is relative. I don't know if you knew that. So if you're standing here, up is this way, but if you're standing down here, up is this way. And every direction away from the center is up on a ball because
it.
it's relative. If we could prove physically that the force of the Earth is not a downwards pull, but in fact it's an upwards push of the Earth,
Got it.
how can the Earth push up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball? What would happen to the Earth if it was a ball pushing up?
It would move
It would move, but what direction will it move?
up.
Well, up is this way for this, but and up is this way. So what will happen to the Earth if it was pushing up in every direction?
It would move left and right. Is that what you're trying to say?
Well, it can move in two directions at the same
Yeah.
time. It would just mean it will have to be expanding.
Yeah.
It would just explode, in other words. It wouldn't work.
Right.
So in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in gravity being a pull of the Earth, because if we could prove that it's actually an upwards push, the
Yeah.
whole globe Earth model would just fall apart. It wouldn't
Right.
exist. So the fact is the Earth is just an extended level plane that's pushing up in one direction. So everybody's up is the same, not relative. So China and Australia are not bending under your feet. They're literally just across the way. Every continent is just across the way. So the
Are
Earth,
you trying to say that? Are you arguing for the flat Earth theory?
not flat Earth in specific, but the Earth is level. And I'm gonna tell you,
it's not round.
It's
That's
not
what you're
round,
trying to
100%. It's a level plane. And I'm gonna tell you what the difference between flat and level. Over 95% of flat Earthers online are claiming the Earth is motionless, so they completely deny the force of the Earth. So they deny that it's pushing up or pulling down. So they come up with their own dumb ideas.
Right.
But the reality is the Earth is pushing up. That's the true force. I don't know if you've heard of the normal force of the Earth. So it's acknowledged in mainstream science as well, the normal force.
Yeah.
Now the pulling force of the Earth, they implement that because they want people to believe in this. But that pulling force doesn't exist. It's just the upwards push, which is the normal force.
Right.
That's the reality. So again, the Earth is only pushing up in one direction because it's a level plane.
Okay.
You know? So if I was to ask you respectfully before you go, why do you believe the Earth is a ball?
Well, I mean, I never, I guess because science has never been, my
forte? Okay, fair enough.
More of a musician and all that
Okay,
stuff.
fair enough. Would you say you just basically...
I'm just believing what scientists have told me.
Okay,
yeah,
fair enough.
Much. Which, obviously, especially in today's day and age, you shouldn't believe everyone people are saying,
Exactly.
especially right now.
Yes. So when it comes to the objective world, especially this subject about the Earth and what it is, these scientists are no different than a priest.
Right.
Because they're just making baseless claims that not only contradict the model that the physics that reality shows, but they're pushing a false model at the end of the day. And in my opinion, every religion on Earth is just pushing beliefs. And that's why they require faith.
Do you think the moon is surface?
No. So the moon and the sun and the stars are all just lights that nobody knows what they are. So they're just, nobody has ever been to them. We can only make assumptions about what they are.
Right. So you also don't believe that the moon landing was real.
Oh no!
Yeah,
If you
I
look,
don't believe
yeah. No, if you look at the video from 1972, my God, it's just so bad. The video footage they showed us from then that they supposedly went there is just so bad.
The only question I have about the moon is that when we have
the crescent moon, for example.
Crescent moon and stuff like that. How does that?
So I have no clue how that works exactly, but they say that that's the Earth's shadow. Obviously, I think that's what they say, right?
Yeah.
But again, at the end of the day, making assumptions about these lights in the sky to prove the ground we walk on is basically a red herring argument. It's a false argument. So again, they're just making up. They make up this whole model about outer space and what these lights are in the sky to reinforce the globe Earth because physics shows that it's impossible. So the globe Earth is physically impossible. So So just before you go, real quick, another way we know that is, you guys want to give this a shot?
Yeah, he does. He does.
All right, man. Here, I'll give you my channel. Okay. And if you want to stick around for this one, you can. But yeah, you can check it out. That's my channel.
What are the questions?
Yes. So 2 very easy questions, real quick. Multiple choice. We'll start with the first one. So here, all right, man. No worries, man. Thanks for the chat. Yeah, you guys can do it together. Pretty easy. So I have 3 box trucks. They're completely sealed. They're all on a level surface, and they all have an apple hanging from a string inside. Right. The only difference between these 3 trucks is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one is at rest? Which one's not moving?
So one is moving forward?
One is accelerating forward, one is accelerating in reverse, and one is not moving. One is just at rest.
Huh?
Wouldn't it just be B?
Yeah, actually it is. It is B. What would you say B though?
I will, what I understood was it wouldn't be swinging if it was.
Yeah, it would. Yeah. It's not
and
swinging.
That rest is at rest.
Exactly. Yeah. Perfect. Which one's accelerating forward?
Would be
A. Yeah.
It is A. How'd you guys know it's A?
Because it goes the opposite way.
Yeah.
It's a pendulum, so it goes out.
Yeah. It's like a pendulum, so the apple is just being left behind.
Yeah.
So the apple's not swinging back per se, it's just being left behind. It's
Yeah.
the truck that's moving forward. Yeah, you got it. Pretty easy. So second one, pretty similar, but instead of an apple is a helium balloon inside. So now this is a buoyant object. That's the only difference. Out of these 3, which one is at rest? Yeah, it is B for the same reason as the first, because there's no motion of the balloon, right? Which one's accelerating forward? Here, I'll help you guys out real quick with this one, because most people haven't seen this one before. So this is a buoyant object, obviously the
So
helium
it goes the
balloon.
opposite way. It goes the opposite way, so it's C.
It does go the opposite way. It is C, and I'll show you. Look, this is also a buoyant object.
Yeah, because physics 1, I know this.
Yeah.
If it's buoyant, that means it's gonna it like bounces off, right? No, like
Well, it gets pushed.
Yeah, it gets pushed.
It
off.
gets pushed by the medium that surrounds it. So
Yeah.
right here, look, if I accelerate this way, the ball gets pushed forward.
Yeah.
Because it's buoyant, right? The medium that surrounds it pushes it in whatever direction I force it to, right? So pretty simple. So, and there's two reasons why that happens. You happen to know why?
Why?
So the first reason is a density difference. So
Oh, yeah,
air
yeah,
is more dense than
density.
helium, and then a force. So whatever direction I apply a force, that's the direction that air is also going to be forced. And because air is more dense than helium, it forces it in the direction that I force there, or whatever the direction of force is. So here, I recreated this experiment inside of a cargo van. So it's they're both questions in one. So here, did it accelerate to the right or to the left?
So which one are we looking at?
The helium?
Well, it's both questions in one. So what direction did it accelerate here, would you say?
You accelerate. Is this forward?
Yeah.
Yeah, forward.
So you accelerated this way. You got it. You got it. Perfect. So, bonus question. It looks like the apple and the helium balloon are moving away from each other. That's what it looks like. Right? But in reality, only one is moving away from the other. They're not both moving away from each other. So, out of the helium balloon and the apple, which one is actually moving away from the other one? You got it. Yeah, the helium balloon is moving away from the apple because the apple is just being left behind.
Yeah.
So the balloon moved away from the apple. So that's what happened. So yeah, you got it. So one last question before you guys go. If I have a helium balloon here on Earth and I release it, what direction does it go? Yes, it goes up. There's two reasons why that happens. Why do you guys think?
Yeah, I see helium.
It's helium because helium is less dense than air. Yeah, there's a density difference. What's the second reason? Well, yeah, that's a density difference because the balloon is less dense. So the second reason is a force. So you need to push something to push the air to be able to push up the helium. So in this scenario, the truck generated the force to push the air, and then that's with the direction the helium gets pushed. What's generating the force here on Earth to be able to push up the air to be able to push up the helium? What's causing that force? It is gravity. I don't know if you guys knew though, gravity as a pulling force has never been measured or detected, and that's why it's just a theory. In other words, it doesn't exist. And that's because the reality is the real force of the Earth is not a downwards pull, it's an upwards push. So right now the Earth is pushing up against your feet, it's not pulling you down towards it. And that upwards push of the Earth is what's pushing up the air, which is creating air pressure, and that's why helium balloons go up. Because again, the force of the Earth is up, not down. So this is the real reason why I'm doing this. You guys believe the Earth is a ball, right?
Yeah.
You guys understand that on a ball, up is relative. So if you're standing here, up is this way, but if you're standing here, up is this way. In every direction away from the center is up on a ball. If we could prove physically that the force of the Earth is an upwards push and not a downwards pull, and that's what physics shows, how can the Earth push up in every direction at the same time if it was a ball?
Because this is exerting the force from each side, from the inside, right? This is pointing in that way.
Yeah, but if the Earth is pushing up like this, but it's also pushing up like this, and this, like this, in every direction pushing up, what will happen to the Earth if it was moving up and if it was a ball?
If it goes from different directions,
Yeah.
I'd imagine like
You're doing the gesture, yeah. It would just expand. It would just explode. It wouldn't work. So in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in gravity being a pull of the Earth. Because if we could prove that it's the other way around and it's actually an upwards push, the whole globe Earth concept would just fall apart. It wouldn't exist. So again, people have to believe in the pulling force of gravity first to believe in the ball Earth, but that's just not the reality. The reality is the Earth is just an extended level plane that's pushing up in one direction. So everybody's up is the same. So China and Australia are not bending around under your feet. They're just across the way. Every continent here on Earth is just across the way in every direction. So that's the reality. And that's the number one proof to debunk the globe Earth is that gravity is an upwards push, not a downwards pull. So if I was to ask you guys respectfully, you guys as well, why do you guys believe the Earth is a ball?
Well, for starters, I feel like your outwards push assumption is incorrect because of the fact that the outward push that you're describing is just a normal force from
Yes,
the ground.
it's the normal force of the Earth, exactly.
However, it's not the force of the Earth, it's the force of the matter underneath our feet. The gravitational pull isn't the pull of the Earth itself, it's the pull of the mass of the Earth, like dragging down space-time in, like, if you consider the realm of space-time, the reason why gravity is an inward pull is because it's not actually pulling you towards the core of the Earth, it's pulling you towards the
surface of the Earth.
No, it's pulling you to the hole that the Earth is creating in space-time.
Okay, you're talking about Einstein's theory of relativity and warping and bending of space-time?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so that's just a theory as well.
Yes, however, what you're saying is also...
No, so the normal force of the Earth is a real force that can be measured and detected, because
but
buoyancy is a force.
Yeah, but there's a normal force with everything. You're saying that because this has a normal force, it's pushing against the air, that means it'll explode?
No, this tent has weight, so if you put a scale underneath it, it has weight. No. So the Earth has mass. I agree.
Yeah.
But the
The
mass
Earth's
of the
also
Earth, just because something has mass, that doesn't mean that it can move other objects just because of its mass. That's just a theory. That's Newton's law of theory, which is separate from Einstein's law of theory.
Yeah, but see, the issue with what you're saying is that, and explain orbits, because the reason why Einstein's theory of relativity is so widely believed is because of the fact that it's been observed so many times, and it's been consistent with what we've observed in the real world.
Yeah.
All of Einstein's theories that he's stated have all been consistent with what we have seen in scientific research throughout the history, since then. There's only been there's the famous thing he was only wrong about one thing, that was that he was actually right. But what I will say is this: the idea that since the Earth is pushing outwards, it has to implode if it was a ball. I feel like that is a little bit too far in an assumption, because there's multiple reasons why we know the Earth is a ball. There's the fact that, for starters, our viewpoint from space, from the astronauts who said over there, has been consistent with the fact that it's a ball.
Okay, so you're talking about images from outer space, right?
Sure.
Okay, so I have a couple of images here that I bring with me to show, because a lot of people use that as the number one proof. So these are official NASA images of the Earth from outer space from 2002 and from 2012. Mm-hmm. Now, they admit that all of their photographs from outer space are all composites. In other words, they're all CGI. Yeah, and the explanation is that they can't get high enough, so they just take strips of imagery of the Earth and they stitch them together in a computer and they make these balls out of them. In reality, it's because it doesn't exist. Now, I can tell you, if I showed you an image, for example, of me flying, would you believe I could fly?
Well, I mean, in the modern day and age of AI, I wouldn't believe that. But what you're saying, the reason why I disagree with you is because they don't have any motivation for them to lie about the Earth being a ball.
Okay, well that's a separate subject, the motive behind the crime. I'm trying to expose the crime itself.
But the thing is, motive is one of the parts of a crime.
There's definitely a motive. I wouldn't know 100% what the motive is because I'm not the one lying. We have to figure out the crime first, and then once we figure out the crime, then we start looking at the motive. You're trying to jump ahead.
No, I mean, I let's say I agree with you. Let's say the Earth is flat, right?
Level, not flat. There's a huge difference.
Is the reason why you're saying that because it's there's mountains? And
yes.
like that? Okay.
Yes.
So let's say the Earth is level.
Yes.
Then what? There's two questions that I would have.
Yes.
First, if it's level, then where does it end? Where does it begin on our?
Yeah, so in my opinion, the Earth is an enclosed system, 100%. So that's why we have air pressure, because in order to maintain air pressure, you need
an atmosphere.
Well, the atmosphere is the oxygen we're breathing. So the atmosphere needs to be physically contained.
Atmosphere is more so, it's a composite.
It's different
it's a composition
gases.
of oxygen.
Yes, I get it. It's different gases.
That forms a layer. It could only form a layer if there was an air.
So you believe that air pressure can be maintained without a physical barrier, without a solid containment?
No.
No, exactly. But gravity claims to do that because of this theory of pulling that holds the air in, and that's how it creates pressure, but that defies physics. Because every experiment here on Earth, in order to create or increase pressure, we need a solid container like a cylinder or the tire in your car. It needs to be completely sealed, and that's how we increase pressure, because it needs to be maintained.
But the thing is, the atmosphere itself is a container. The reason why there is no breathable air on Mars or on Venus is because they're atmospheres which do exist. The atmosphere, we can agree the atmosphere exists, right?
Yeah, 100%. It has pressure too.
Yeah.
In order to have pressure, it needs a force and it needs containment. So you need those two things to have air pressure.
So volume is related to temperature and pressure.
Sure.
E equals T over Q. So
sure.
Wait, is that right? PV equals nRT, right? Because he's a physics guy. He knows physics. I would say that in order to definitively say that the Earth is level, I think there would also be having to have enough evidence in its favor more than the theory that the Earth is.
I'll give you one more evidence that debunks this pulling force of gravity. So everybody's cell phone, smartphone, has a built-in accelerometer. So you could download an app. Yes. So when you have that accelerometer just resting on Earth, or when you're just holding it, it registers 1 g-force, right? When you're just resting here on Earth. When you accelerate that accelerometer from being at rest, in other words, move it in any direction, up, down, left, or right, it increases from 1 g-force because you're accelerating it from being at rest, right? When we put that accelerometer into free fall and people are claiming that it accelerates down from being at rest, that g-force should increase, but what happens is the opposite. It goes from 1 g to 0.
That's because force doesn't increase.
So my point is that accelerometers that are acceleration detection devices don't detect the downward acceleration of matter.
It's funny that you mentioned accelerometers because we're actually taking a class here
Sure.
on IoT devices.
Sure, fair
One
enough.
of those things is an IMU, which is what's in those phones. And one thing about IMUs is first of all, they're a little finicky at times. Second of all, they also they're really best at detecting changes,
Yeah.
not at detecting like
Well,
constant
from being at
acceleration.
rest to accelerating is a change.
Yes, I agree, and it
should
is
detect
able to
that change.
detect those.
Well, it detects the change as a deceleration, not an acceleration.
Yeah, because it is.
Yeah, that's because the Earth is catching up to it. So when this falls, it doesn't fall due to a force that's being accelerated down. It falls due to
The thing
inertia.
about deceleration is deceleration
And
is
it's the Earth that
acceleration.
crashes into
No, deceleration is just acceleration. There's no such thing as deceleration.
It loses momentum, I guess, to put it in simple terms. It
And
doesn't
what's the
increase. It
formula
doesn't
of-
increase momentum.
What's the formula of momentum again? It's
Mass
equal
times
to mass times velocity. So momentum is a different thing in this scenario because it's not losing momentum; it's technically gaining momentum because
That's acceleration, but sure. But
No.
losing momentum would be deceleration. But you could say it's acceleration and it's a change. Yeah, it could be both.
So momentum, as Conrad here just
Sure.
said, is mass times velocity. Mass
Sure.
is not changing. Velocity is changing.
Yeah.
We can agree on that. That's acceleration. But the fact is, deceleration doesn't exist. It's just acceleration in a different direction.
Well, it's like when you're in a car and you're hitting the gas pedal on the freeway at 60 miles an hour. What happens when you let go of the gas?
You start to accelerate in the opposite direction. You're
Okay.
not decelerating.
Okay,
you're
sure.
accelerating in the opposite
So
direction.
this-
Because acceleration is a vector.
Sure.
And so
Would you say
even
the car's slowing down though?
velocity may be increasing, but it's also technically increasing in the negative direction.
Okay, but would you say the car's slowing down when you let go of the gas? Or
That's
not?
just how we're phrasing it. That's just our words. Our vocabulary doesn't really have a word to describe that outside of something else.
But yeah, right? That's exactly what's happening when you release something into free fall. It starts to lose or accelerate in the opposite direction because this doesn't crash into the Earth. It's the Earth that crashes into objects in free fall. Because the Earth is constantly pushing up like an elevator and we're inside of it. That's what gravity is an upwards push of the Earth and not a downwards pull.
So then, are you saying that the normal force is simply just
An
bringing
upwards
the
mo-
entire
yes,
Earth up?
yes.
Then
That's
what
a-
is pushing the Earth? Because a normal force requires two.
Normal force always acts on the other object.
Exactly,
If
and
the
it's
Earth-
equal and opposite.
If the Earth is emitting this normal force, it will not act on the Earth. It will act on its
objects
object,
on the
like
Earth.
us.
It wouldn't push itself.
So,
So what's pushing
gravity is pulling us down. The normal force, we standing on gravity is pushing us up. So we're in equilibrium. We're not flying.
So the
going.
reason
We're
you're inverting the normal force and you're basically the Earth is resisting the downwards force of the Earth. That's what you're saying.
No.
That up,
No.
yeah, because
No.
it's no,
the
'cause-
normal force isn't itself pushing itself.
because force is it's literally matter moving, matter times acceleration.
Force is
Mass
yes,
times
Mass times acceleration.
See-
So in order to have a force, there needs to be motion of matter. So if you're saying that there's an upwards normal force of the Earth, but
There
the
is-
Earth is not moving up,
there is no upwards
then
normal
it's just the
force of the Earth.
resistance in your model.
There is no
No,
upwards.
It's resisting your mass being pulled down to the
The
center.
normal force acts on a different object. It doesn't act on the Earth itself. It's the force that the Earth. It's the equal and opposite force that the Earth puts onto us and the objects that are on it. So that,
Yeah, because if the Earth wasn't there, if you dig a hole, you're just gonna get pulled lower and lower, and so the Earth itself is resisting you from being pulled down to the core. It's a resistance, but you're calling it a force because you have to fit the normal. Yeah, because the reality is,
No, it's what stops objects from passing through each other. Like for example, if I'm putting my hand here, right, and I'm pushing
Yeah,
on it,
yeah.
my hand's not passing through because this is emitting a normal force on me, and I'm emitting. A
It's
normal force on
resisting
this.
your push.
The normal force is simply just a force that is perpendicular to any.
So
opposite
here's the
force.
reality. What it shows is the Earth does have a force, an upwards push, meaning it is moving up, and your body has inertia.
But
So
force does
everything
not
that has
equal
mass has
force does not
inertia,
equal movement.
and inertia is resistance to force, and
Yeah,
that's
but
why you
force
have
does
weight.
not equal movement.
net force causes acceleration. In these terms, gravity pulls us down. We have weight, which is mg. We have an equal and opposite normal force, and when those two objects are in equilibrium, the net force is zero, thus resulting in zero acceleration whatsoever.
Yeah. So what you guys are all trying to prove is a theory that has never been proven, even by Einstein or Newton. Because Einstein's theory of relativity was there to debunk Newton's law of mass attracting mass. But these are just theories to explain why a globe Earth can still exist, even though that downwards acceleration has never been proven or detected. So you guys are trying to prove it hasn't. So measuring the distance, how long it takes for this to go hit the Earth, you're not measuring whether this
No, but
moved to
people
the
have
Earth or
measured
the
the
Earth.
gravitational
How did
constant
they
very
measure it?
seriously. They were able to perform numerous trials of dropping things from large distances.
Yes. So what they're measuring is the distance it took for the Earth and the object to meet. They're not measuring what moved towards what. So the object.
But
how
you're
did
now
they-
going into a conversation of relative motion, which is technically separate from
Yeah,
ours.
relative
Because-
motion,
Because
yeah.
relative motion is like that's irrelevant to our topic because of the fact that when we're debating this, we're talking about like having to prove it. You, in our situation right now, there's no definitive way of proving like because of my lack of knowledge. I'm not saying I'm
Yeah.
like There's no definitive way for me to prove
What's
that
moving.
which thing's moving. So neither of our theories can be proven.
No,
So
but what if I told you there was a way to tell what's moving? Accelerometers, acceleration detection devices tell you if you attach an accelerometer to a helium balloon, a giant helium balloon, and a bowling ball, and release them both into free fall, the accelerometer is going to detect the force of the helium balloon being pushed up,
Yes.
not the bowling ball going down. So that
Well,
tells you that the force is only up.
Again, that's just because of how accelerometers are like coded. That's because.
Do you know how accelerometers work?
Yes.
How do they work?
They have an IMU processor in them, and the way they work is they detect the changes in movement,
Yes.
and those changes in movements are recorded and converted into.
So they detect displacement, for example. So displacement of matter is what tells the accelerometer what direction it's moving, right? So this is a simple accelerometer with water inside a water bottle. Why? Because as soon as I accelerate in this direction, the water gets displaced to the back.
Yeah.
But as soon as I accelerate in this direction, the water gets displaced to this side, the opposite direction. If I have it here at rest and I accelerate down, guess what happens to the water? It displaces to the top.
Yeah.
But in free fall, when people are claiming it accelerates down, that that downward acceleration is not detected.
It's because you're always in free fall. Free fall is a constant, not free fall. Mg, the weight pulling you down, it's always a constant force. Correct me
So
if
you're
I'm
you're
wrong,
saying
so-
everything's accelerating down at the same rate. That's why there's no displacement. Yeah,
everything's
I've heard that
accelerating down
explanation
at
before.
the same
But that contradicts every other accelerometer experiment. So in other words, that's just basically an assumption that people are making.
But you're
about-
also making an
No, this is what happens when you physically accelerate this down. You could use.
You're using one explanation. We're using another explanation. Both of those are just theories.
No, but what I'm
Yours
saying
isn't
is,
proven either.
my
Like,
point is that whatever direction you accelerate this container, there's always going to be water displacement. Always, 100% of the time.
No, but the reason why that happens is because
Always.
the accelerations are different. But when you're dropping it in free fall, the accelerations are the same, which is why they move at the same.
But when I actually accelerate it down, there is displacement.
But that's because you're only accelerating the bottle. You're only touching the bottle. Gravity is actually affecting the entire.
Yes, so that theory of gravity, that there's a force that can grab all matter simultaneously and accelerate it,
Because it's not grabbing it. It's because of the fact
that would mean that B is accelerating forward or backwards, because apparently gravity can grab all the matter together and accelerate it together. But in reality, only this one's accelerating forward, because you can only accelerate it one matter at a time, and one pushes on something
But
else.
see, that's not a
That's
relevant
physics.
case because of the fact that this isn't properly attached to the car, which is why. For example, when you're sitting in a car, when you have your seat-
Look, what you're saying is, let me just show you this one. Sure.
When you sit in a car, like let's say you're in the passenger seat, right? And then the car suddenly jerks.
Yeah.
You're gonna move forward, right? But
Sure.
that's because you weren't properly attached to the car. You weren't a part of the system.
Right.
Like in this case, with these,
Yeah.
they're not properly a part of the system. That's why you're not observing that same.
So
motion.
that claim of gravity that you're saying, that gravity can grab all the matter and accelerate it simultaneously with no change, that's like claiming that B could be accelerating forward and the apple's gonna stay in the middle, but that's not
that's
what
exactly
happens.
what I'm saying. That's not what's gonna happen. The reason is because that apple that you're showing here is not a part of the system. It's not attached to this car.
It is attached.
No, but it's not part of the system. Like
'Cause when you
can
It
sit
is
on a,
not. There's a string that is attached, right? Or that's attaching the apple. But if there are no string, if the apple were just attached to the truck,
I mean,
then
if you
it would accelerate.
if you glue it to it, then yeah, it's not gonna
no,
move
but that's
in
the
any
thing. If
direction.
you again, this is the same exact situation as what I just said. Like if you're sitting in a car with your seatbelt on, you feel less jerk, right? Because you're more part of the car. But when you're separated from it, like there's a difference in space between what you occupy and what they occupy, or what the car occupies, right? The thing that'll happen is when the car accelerates, you will accelerate after the car because of the fact that you're not attached to the car. So your body's reacting to it. With gravity, though,
With gravity,
we
again,
are
a
all
theory, yeah.
Fine, sure. With the theory of gravity, we're all attached to the Earth right now because of the fact that we have all grown up on like a system. We're a part of the system of the Earth,
Yeah.
right? So I'm doing this. I understand you believe it's this, but
No,
let's say we all grew up in this, right? We know that the Earth is constantly orbiting according to our theory,
Sure.
at a very fast speed.
Yeah.
Our bodies are accustomed to that speed. We are part of the system at this point because of the fact that we are. Let's say if I jump, I'm still a part of the system because I'm enclosed in the atmosphere. I'm not going to just leave the system.
Sure.
So that's why we're all affected by gravity at the same rate. So because of this, that's why gravity is able to attach itself to the entire thing and affect everything at the same time. In your scenario, this apple or this balloon, those aren't properly a part of the system, which is why you can see inconsistent results with gravity. This is also the second disagreement is this is technically not evidence because this is like.
Well, first of all, if we left the apple, we cut the string right, the apple's just gonna fall to the floor right here, right?
And again,
and it's gonna be part of the system, just like you're
not.
part of the system. Why not? It's touching the ground, just like you're touching the ground.
Because that's exactly what I'm saying. We are a part of the system because our matter was introduced on Earth. And the reason why this is not part of the system is because it's not connected to it.
I guess my point is that every accelerometer, whether digital or simple accelerometers like this with matter, different states of matter, are always going to displace or detect acceleration by displacing. In free fall, however, there's like different physics happen. That's where people say that, oh, there's no displacement because everything's accelerating down at the same rate. That kind of force that can accelerate matter, all different states of matter simultaneously without any change, that kind of force doesn't exist. It can only exist on paper. Because when it comes to reality, when we actually apply real force to matter, there's always going to be displacement, 100% of the time.
Are you saying that because we can't see gravity, it's not going to work?
Well, not only can we not see it, we can detect it, we can measure it, we can replicate it.
Well, okay, I feel like your argument is kind of hinging on the fact that we can't detect it, but we have detected gravity.
No, measuring the distance, how long it takes an object to meet the Earth, again, you're not measuring whether the object met the Earth or if the Earth met the object. But in physics, accelerometers show that it's the Earth meeting the object.
But see, now the issue is though, accelerometers were made based on our assumptions. So inherently they will have some bias.
Well, water is just water. It displaces relative to the direction of force.
And I already explained why the water.
Yeah, you're going back to this kind of force that can accelerate all matter simultaneously, which can never be detected or measured or replicated.
Okay,
you cannot replicate that kind of force in a horizontal vector, can you?
You can.
That would mean that you can accelerate this container all simultaneously.
But again, those are drawings.
Okay, give me an example of that force being recreated in a horizontal vector.
Okay, so
gravity.
You want me to recreate like,
gravity in a horizontal vector. Yes, that has never been done, by the way. But
yeah, it can't be.
It can't be. That's why it's just a theory, because that force cannot be recreated.
Because gravity is something that occurs in a four-dimensional space.
Well, now you're getting into other theories of four-dimensional, because we live in three-dimensional space here. We have 3 dimensions, you know. So when you're talking about a fourth dimension, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about time.
Okay, time, okay. Sure, but again, time is only a concept based on the motion of the sun. So it's not a physical thing.
It's not physical thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Neither is this direction.
3-dimensional space is physical because we have up and down, we have left and right,
but again,
and forward and backwards.
And we also have motion through time. That's why, because
when
you
have it backwards,
first learning the coordinate
time is
plane,
from motion.
When you're first learning the coordinate plane, all right, you start with a dot, right? A dot, a point. A point is it's nothing. It's no space.
Sure.
Dot has 0 space. Then you extend that in the x direction. So you get a number line, right? Then you extend that in the y direction. You get a coordinate plane. Then you extend that in the z direction. You get a 3D coordinate.
Yes.
Right. Then what other direction is there? Right? This is the fourth dimension. Right? You're perceiving it at different points. That's why there is a fourth dimension. We can't perceive it because we are third dimensional beings.
Sure.
But that fourth dimension is that three-dimension plane moving through the plane of time.
Sure. So you're saying the fourth dimension is just motion.
No, it's time. Every dimension is motion. Because the first dimension is motion through the x-axis.
Okay.
Second dimension is motion through the y-axis. Third dimension is motion through the
how does that
z-axis.
prove a globe? Get me to that point. How does that prove
I'm addressing your previous one.
Which was
that you can't have gravity in a horizontal plane.
So you can't recreate gravity in a horizontal plane, is what you're saying. You can't. So it can only exist in free fall.
Yeah. No, that's not what I'm saying. You're
Look, so here's the thing. Look, even if we go away from the gravity thing, which is fine. Do you know the radius of the Earth by any chance?
I don't.
You don't know the radius of the Earth. So the radius of the Earth, they tell us, is 3,959 miles. So you can look this up. I'm not making it up. So based on the radius of the Earth, there should be curvature every mile. And how much curvature is there? Well, it's easy. If we use a simple Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, we can calculate for how much curvature there should be every mile, and every mile it has to increase. Yeah, definitely. So based on the on the dimensions of the Earth it's telling us, and the Pythagorean theorem, there should be 8 inches per mile squared based on the radius of the Earth they tell us, which means in the first mile there should be an 8-inch curve, second mile 32 inches, and by the third mile there should be 6 feet of measurable curvature. And in 10 miles there should be 66 feet, which is a 6-story building. How do we measure for this curve, right? To see if it's actually there. There's a very easy way. So if we went out to a giant lake that was 3 miles or 10 miles across, for example, filled with water, and we build a level structure above it, the water of that lake, when it's contained and at rest, it's going to be a perfectly level surface, which is going to be parallel to anything horizontal above it, because that's the physics of water. They're trying to tell us that every lake on Earth is bending 8 inches per mile squared, which is 6 feet and 3 miles.
But isn't the bridge bending to...
No. The bridge, we're building it horizontal relative to the plumb line, the starting plumb line. So we're building it 90 degrees from the plumb. So whether you believe in a globe Earth or a level Earth, a plumb line is vertical starting point. Yeah, so once we build a level structure over the body of water, the water should bend away from it if it's truly bending. But in reality, we understand that water, again, the surface of water when contained at rest is always a horizontal surface, which is level. Because people are claiming that gravity pulls everything to a center.
No, but it depends on the mass.
So shouldn't a ball have curvature though? The surface of a ball. Yeah, the surface of a ball has to have curvature, right?
Small.
Yeah, it's obviously tiny, but my point is...
But you gotta count for distance.
Yeah, 8 inches per mile square based on the radius of the Earth, they tell us, which is 3,159 miles, which is 66 feet in 10 miles. There should be 66 feet of curvature in 10 miles. That's a 6-story building. There's lakes that are 100 miles long. There should be a mile of curvature in these lakes, but there's not. Those lakes are perfectly level.
In theory, you were to get like some sort of stick that's 100 miles long,
yes,
and it didn't break, it didn't bend at all,
yeah,
and you took it from one end of the other lake to the other.
Yes.
It would in theory it would stick off, like if the Earth was a globe, it would stick off like this.
Yes, it will go into outer space.
But you can't build that. Hence, that's why you build a bridge that's curved to fit the shape of the Earth itself.
No, but I know what you're saying. If you just build in sections, people would say, oh, you're building that structure relative to the Earth, so you're bending with the Earth. But we're not building it in sections relative to the Earth. We're building it relative to the plumb line. So if we build a vertical line, for example, and we stay 90 degrees to that starting point, we're essentially going to build a straight horizontal line relative to the starting vertical. That's 90 degrees. So if we build that over a body of water like a lake, the water should bend away from the structure if it was truly bending, if the Earth was a globe. But in other words, the oceans, the reason why the term sea level comes from is because the oceans are horizontal. That's where the term sea level comes from. So the oceans are not bending around a ball.
But isn't it like sea level means like relative? I'm assuming, let's just say that if the Earth, for a second, let's say it's a globe, crazy, right? So basically the sea level is how far from the center of the Earth at each point. It's not like a fixed, like there is no such thing as like a straight line. Really.
So you're trying to say, because you could look at the definition of level. The definition of level in one word is horizontal. You're trying to redefine the word
like
level.
That's like the definition of it.
Yeah, so you're trying to redefine level, which I've heard this definition before, is equal distance from the center to the outer circumference. But it's not. That's what level on a globe means. But in reality, level is horizontal. You know, and again, we could build a trench, we could build a pool, fill it with water, miles and miles long. That surface of that water is never going to bend. You know, because the physics of water water doesn't have a shape. It takes the shape of the container, but the surface always collapses to form an equal surface, which is horizontal. So this will be the number 2 proof to debunk the globe Earth, is the fact that there is no curvature to the Earth.
Well, I mean, water is made up of like a bunch of different particles.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And so each particle has its own, force of gravity acting on it. And so the reason that it stays in a ball like that and it doesn't go horizontal is because the force of gravity is pulling it towards the center
that's
of
the
the Earth.
explanation.
And that's why, like, if this is the center of mass of an object, if water is here, it's going to get pulled. Like this line is where it's going to get pulled, and so that's why it gets pulled and it forms like a globe.
Yeah, but that's how much curvature there should be in 10 miles, 66 feet.
And that doesn't.
You got a point. Right. Say that.
No, if we went to a giant lake, so you believe that a lake, the surface of a lake, is going to have a 66-foot drop from the beginning to the end?
Wait,
if you look at it like this, yeah, it is.
Okay, well, I would say that's just a belief, and that defies physics.
So anyway, I have a question.
Yeah.
Your belief is that the Earth is using the normal force to push everything up, and that's why it's a level Earth instead of that, right?
Yes.
So then why is the water not being pushed up?
The water is being pushed up.
So then why is it staying there where it is rather than being...
Because water levels out perpendicular to the direction of force. So again, the water right now at rest, it's perpendicular to the vertical force this way, right? But if I was to apply a force in this direction, the water is going to displace to the back, and it's going to be perpendicular to the direction of that force. So water is always perpendicular to the direction of force, and that's why water is level, because the force is up vertical, not down.
That's...
Yeah, you can accelerate water in this direction, and the water displaces to the back.
That's not because...
And then it becomes a slant. And then you basically create a new vector with the water. And the surface of water in this container that has a vertical, horizontal force,
Can you
it's
define
going to change.
for me?
A vector is magnitude in motion.
Magnitude in motion?
Yeah, magnitude in a particular, moving in a particular direction. So
Magnitude
it's
in a
mass
particular
moving
direction.
in a particular direction.
Now, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Why does water moving this way?
Because it's being affected by the Earth's force.
No, but why does it react in a perpendicular motion to the
Yes, because water doesn't have a water cannot sustain a shape on the surface. So if you're applying a force,
It can sustain it has surface tension, which is why it's able to form
But you-
that concave curve at the top.
yeah, that's on a very small scale. I agree, like in a cup. But when you have a pool, for example, you cannot get that same effect.
Yes, because there's constant disruptions.
Yeah, well, because again, water cannot sustain itself to form a shape on the surface.
If you leave water on its own with no outside disruptions, it would form that.
What do you mean?
Because the reason why you won't see that in a pool is because there's constant disruptions to the surface of the water. Surface tension requires like no disruptions. To
Yeah,
the
it happens on a very small scale, like in a straw. Like if you have water on a straw, fill up a straw, the surface. Yeah. But again, when we expand that body of water, that surface tension is no longer applicable because again, it's irrelevant when we're talking about large scales. And obviously the Earth is large. We're talking about lakes, we're talking about the ocean, we're talking about even giant pools. That surface of water on these surfaces will never bend.
Okay, but I also have one more question.
Yes.
Your Earth core calculation, that's based on the assumption that the Earth is a perfect sphere.
Yeah, which they claim is an oblate spheroid, which contradicts their definition of level, which is an equal distance from the center to the outer circumference. Like the definition of level would mean a perfect sphere, right?
It's not.
Yeah, but that's how they redefine level, which contradicts the oblate spheroid.
I'm sorry, I might have missed that argument.
Yeah,
What was
he
the-
said that the definition of level is equal distance from the center to the outer circumference. So that's what level means.
Well, no, I said like if, for example,
No, that is the true definition for level on a globe.
If you
actually.
have like one point at one end, he was using the lake argument. If you have 100-mile lake, for example, this point at one end of the lake where the water hits the surface, and on the opposite side of the lake, the exact same point, they're at the same level because they're equidistant from the
center
globe.
to the outer circumference. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. That would make a perfect sphere, though, if that's what level meant on a globe, which obviously they claim that it's like a oblate spheroid. It's not a perfect sphere. Yeah. So it's just contradicting back and forth, the globe Earth claims are just contradictions of itself.
Wait,
because
so
it doesn't
I now have
exist.
one more question.
Yes.
You said earlier that the Earth is like a level. It's like
an extended level plane.
And it's moving up in the universe.
Yes, it's moving up.
What is making it go?
The mechanism of the Earth's motion is unknown because nobody's been outside of the Earth system to see it as a whole, to see what's actually moving.
So wait, do you think the moon landing was fake?
Yes, 100%. So the moon and the sun, in my opinion, are part of the Earth system. So they're within the Earth atmosphere, in my opinion. Yes, I think so.
So why do the clouds move from like left to right and not up and down?
Air pressure, difference in air pressure. So the sun creates heat spots around the Earth, and then there's differences in pressure there.
Then what is
So
the
that's why there's
source of the
motion.
sun's energy?
I'm sorry?
What is the source of the sun's energy?
I have no clue. I have no clue.
The source of its energy is nuclear dissociation. It's nuclear fusion.
I would say that's just a belief that you have, which is fine. People can have beliefs about what these things are, but nobody knows what the sun, moon, and stars actually are. We just make theories or assumptions.
So when we observe like,
and it's irrelevant to the shape of the Earth at the end of the day.
If you take a telescope and you observe like a planet far away, for example,
Here, I'll show you what.
Why is that round?
Here, I'll show you what they look like. So we're just looking at lights in the sky, which nobody knows what they are. So this is what the planets look like when you zoom into them, and this is what the stars look like when you zoom into them. They're just twinkling lights that change colors.
And you think Earth is?
So Earth is not that. These are just part. These are part of the Earth system. So you guys have ever been to a terrarium?
Oh yeah, like with the plants and stuff.
Yeah, they put lights in the sky to simulate our sky. I would say that that's a more close depiction of what the Earth is. So the Earth is a creation, 100%, in my opinion. I don't buy into any religion though. I'm not religious, but it is a creation, in my opinion.
So if you observe with a telescope a planet for long enough, and if you can see it'll start to rotate, how do you explain that?
I don't know. It's just something that exists in the sky and it moves.
So it's like they're simulating these lights and they're rotating them for us, you think?
The creator that created this space definitely created these lights in the sky, and I don't know what they are and what the true purpose for them are.
So do you think that any celestial body we observe cannot be like for sure real?
It's not a terra firma. Every celestial body we're seeing, every light in the sky we're seeing, is not terra firma like the Earth, or gases either.
Why does this matter in the first place? Like, what are you trying?
Yeah.
What are you trying to achieve by?
Well, first of all, this is the biggest deception on the human population by far throughout history. So second is I'm trying to help people realize that we've been lied to about our existence and about the place that we inhabit, because that's how they're controlling us, because they're making people doubt their own common sense in favor of experts that are telling them what to do and what to believe. So it's a power grab that's happening. So that's the reason why the economy is shit, because people just buy into everything that they're told. So it's about having critical thinking skills, independent critical thinking skills, and not be swayed by consensus.
Are you not hungry?
No, I'm okay right now.
Okay, because like we just went and like ate lunch and stuff.
Oh no, I'm good. I'm actually plant-based too, so I probably won't be able to eat what you had.
Me too.
Oh, nice.
You have YouTube?
Yeah, I can give you my YouTube channel. Definitely. Here you go.
Have a good day with
Here,
me.
you guys want to take the YouTube? I go to other universities
We
as well.
already
Oh, you
got
guys
it.
took it, right? Here, you can take this.
Do you have any more figures that we could look at?
Any more what?
Figures?
Figures? Look, I could show you guys these. I have this.
These.
Let me show you. I show you these. Did I show you these before?
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah. So here, the GoPro one I showed you. So this is how perspective works. So we understand parallel lines.
Yeah.
These are parallel, but it looks like they converge to a point.
Yeah.
Because there is a limit of perspective. So everything shrinks to a point until it vanishes, right? So that's the reason why boats appear to disappear over the horizon, is because, again, this arc represents our eyeball because we have spherical eyes. So the light entering our eye comes in at an angle. So when something is above you, but it stays at the same altitude, just simply moves away from you, it appears to drop in our field of view. And then if something is below your eye, it appears to go up in our field of view. It's the opposite. So things only appear to disappear at the horizon because that's the limit of perspective. So the horizon is only apparent. It's not a physical thing. So it all has to do
doesn't
with...
that mean that it would just converge until it hits like the middle point, and then it would stay in the middle point?
The middle point is the
on and
island.
on as far as they go.
Yeah, so the island will be that middle point, which is the horizon. That's the limit of perspective. So everything shrinks to that point, and then you can't see beyond that because we don't have that kind of resolution to see that. Yeah. So again, the angle of light, how it enters our eyes, is the limit of perspective. So, and then again, these show that. When you're looking at long hallways, it looks like the hallway is shrinking, the further it gets. But that's because that's how our eyes see the
But even
world.
if the hallway was like really long, like you would still be able to see until the end, like it wouldn't come to us.
Well, it depends. If you stretch that hallway miles and miles and miles, you won't be able to see a door at the end, for example. Like, that'd be impossible.
Like with the telescope, you'd be able to.
Yes, a telescope will increase your perspective, but even a telescope has limits as well. It does, nothing has infinite vision.
What about like one of those like huge telescopes?
But like
You said there's atmospheric distortion.
And atmosphere distortion as well. Even if we had infinite vision, you won't be able to see forever.
And what is atmospheric distortion? Can you explain that to me?
It's basically the atmosphere blocking your view. It's like the fog in the atmosphere, pretty much. It has,
That does make sense.
Yeah.
Wait, this low-key is pretty compelling.
No, it is. I mean, trust me, I came across this 10 years ago, and I've been trying. 10 years ago. So I've been trying to debunk the flat Earth actually to when I first started, and the opposite happened. I debunked the globe because physically the globe Earth has nothing, and everything that has to do with physics, science, natural science proves that the Earth is a level.
Wait, what is holding the atmosphere to the Earth?
Wait, so what's
physical
at the
barrier.
end?
So nobody has been outside of the Earth because we're being contained by a physical barrier.
So
Again, I'm not religious, but the Bible does talk about a dome. So a physical dome.
Wait, so has
Oh, like the Golden Dome.
Which are you saying like the moon landing is fake?
So wait, where is the dome?
So if you ask me, is if you go in one direction in a straight line, you'll definitely reach it.
Like, because like when you fly places, right? Like that's all fake.
I'll
like,
show you.
The routes are fake.
Yes, they are. I'll show you later. I'll show you later.
Flights are fake.
No,
The routes
are
are fake. So like you can't fly from like
So I don't push any map because nobody knows what the Earth actually looks like. But if we were to take a globe Earth and just open it up, this is what it would look like. The north will be a center point, and all the continents will just be spread out.
Where'd the
across.
south go?
The south is just the ring around.
Wait, so the south isn't real.
So the south is the outer circumference of the
Wait,
Earth.
so why is the North Pole and the South Pole colder than like?
I would say because the
equator?
sun moves in the center of the Earth like this.
Wait,
So the sun is
So
very
you're
center.
telling me that? So like that means if you walk in a straight line
In any direction, you'll reach the walls.
but if you walk in a straight line east, right? What you say,
The far lands.
what says.
There could be far lands before we reach the walls.
Okay, wait. I have a question then. So if I'm here and I walk this way, I'm walking in a straight line. This is a straight line, yes. Okay. So that means that my angle to north will change
It's an upwards
despite the
push.
fact that I'm walking in a straight line.
So again, it doesn't matter where you're standing here. If you walk in a straight line in any direction, this.
No, but if I'm looking at a compass, then if I walk this way, that means like north will change.
Yes, north will change.
So if I walk,
I don't know if you knew this, but sailors back in the day had to readjust their compass to basically keep going east or west. They have to readjust the compass.
Wait, where's Antarctica? I'm confused. Is the sun inside the dome?
I would say it is probably. Yeah.
Oh, it's inside the dome.
Yes, I would say
So the
that.
sun is like a little ball.
It's not even. I don't even think it's a
would you say?
physical thing.
Oh,
I would
it's
say
just like
a
a-
light.
what is-
I don't know
what
what
is
it's
like-
made
so
of.
Oh wait, is that like the what's that one movie? You know the movie Truman Show? Truman Show, exactly. Yeah.
So we're all one big Truman Show.
In a way.
And what's outside the ball? We don't know.
Nope.
So all the stars are like fake?
Do you think
No, the
do you think
creator
government
created them.
knows?
Not even the people that are lying to us about the Earth know what they are.
Wait, who's lying to us
Oh, I
about
see.
this?
And what's the incentive?
People
to
that
lie?
control government.
Wait,
Why?
why?
People that push the curriculum in schools.
Why?
They're doing it so that it could stump our critical thinking skills, so that we just obey authority over our own.
So
common
before
sense.
there was like a central,
It's to control us, to dumb us down.
before there was a government or some sort of authority, the Greeks and people like hundreds of years before, like central government or something.
No, that's not real. That's just the government telling you.
They also observed the
Before
spherical
government,
Earth.
church was the one ruling.
This is
people. It was the church.
That makes sense.
Yeah, government is just a new age church.
Okay.
So government is no different than a
Wait,
church.
but even if the sun was like here and it was like moving around like this, right? Then wouldn't like how small is the sun to only like cover
like
one
30,
side?
I would say it's like, people say it's like 30 miles in diameter. So it's very tiny.
Wait, so then how do time zones work?
So time zones are based on the motion of the sun. So the sun is above you here.
Oh, so the sun is on one of these lines.
Yeah, this will be the equator line, and it moves around in. And
So it moves around the equator. Got it.
around the
Like
center.
it's in the middle here, and then it only heats up these parts.
Yeah, so the
Wait,
heat
but
doesn't
then that
reach
would
the...
Yeah.
Wait, so are we all living in like a simulation?
How do you explain like when I see like ships and they like go?
Yeah, I explained perspective already. So here, I'll show you.
Yeah, it's perspective. You just have to walk in.
Okay. I missed half of the lecture.
Okay, but
Come on, you have to walk in.
We have to go.
Wait,
We have to go back to class.
You know the rocket ships and like space shuttles?
Yeah.
When you do the calculations, they have enough fuel to go to moon, like according to our calculations.
No, they
And
didn't go to the moon.
We have calculations. Like we have enough fuel. We have enough like space calculations to prove that they went to the moon and they came back. Like how is that fake if we can't ever leave?
Well, they could have just
the
faked all
dome?
that.
Yeah.
It's massive, bro. They can
You know the
Be like, yeah, we had enough fuel.
satellite launch? So the way the satellite worked, it circled the globe twice before going around the moon and coming back. So how is it able to orbit the Earth if the Earth's flat?
Well, the orbits, if anything is above us, is not orbiting the Earth, it's circling the Earth. So nothing's orbiting
Dude, also
the Earth.
most of them are fake,
It's just
bro.
circling the Earth. If there's things above our head. You know? But yeah, orbits rely on the theory of gravity, which doesn't exist. A downwards pull of gravity doesn't exist. The force of the Earth is an upwards push. So gravity is a push
So
of the Earth.
if gravity doesn't exist, then why are we on the floor?
Because the Earth is constantly pushing up against your feet.
If it's pushing up, it's going to push us away.
No, but you have inertia, so your body resists that upwards push
But
because it
there's
wants
no
to stay in its...
Inertia is...
Inertia is the resistance to change, which is the upwards push.
the moon is flat?
No, well, the moon, we only see one face of it. If I show you this right here, would you say this is a sphere? No, it's a cylinder, right? No, what I'm saying is nobody knows what it is. So making assumptions that because we see a circle in the sky now it must be a sphere, that's illogical.
So do you think the moon landing is fake?
100%. 100%. Yeah.
What's your username?
Here, I can give you my channel. You guys could take this. Here.
What do you have Instagram?
I have YouTube. I actually do have an Instagram. I just made one too, so here. It's the same YouTube channel on Instagram as well.
Wait, so like how can we see different stars on different sides of the Earth then?
Perspective. Because the stars are really close by. They're not light years away. So eventually, you see different star trails in different parts of the Earth because you can't see forever, pretty much.
Well, like if you have like a ship is like going on the horizon away from you,
Yeah.
like you see one part disappear first before the other one.
Yes, perspective. The hull disappears first because the hull is closer to the ground or the water. So eventually, when it goes further away, the water starts to distort the bottom part first because everything shrinks to a point eventually.
All right, hey.
All right, man. Appreciate it, man. All right, take care. All right, I'm just gonna put all these away as is. What time is it? Yeah, my parking expires at 1:20, so it's 5 minutes to 1. I'm just put these all away like that. Let me see if there's any questions or comments in this comment section. They're worth acknowledging before I go. I'm actually gonna wrap it up within like the next 5-10 minutes. Yeah. Oh, you guys want to give it a shot? You guys could be the last one.
What is like what do you
Here, I have 2 very easy questions to test your common sense. Pretty much, it has to do with common sense.
I totally see myself completely with this.
A, B, and C. Gods. Oh.
Wait, I can totally see myself with
Let me see. Let me find the first question. I kind of got lost in all of these.
Yes.
Here we go. We'll try to do it a little quick. So here I have 3 box trucks. They're completely sealed. They're all on a level surface, and they all have an apple hanging from a string inside. The only difference between these 3 box trucks is that one is at rest, one is accelerating forward, and one is accelerating in reverse. So out of these 3, which one is at rest? Which truck is at rest?
B.
Yeah, it is B.
Okay.
Why did you guys say B though?
Because
yeah, there's no force. Yeah, there's no motion. In other words, of the apple. Okay, perfect. Which one is accelerating forward?
A.
How do you guys know it was A?
Because it was going backwards.
Okay. Yeah, in other words, the apple's being left behind due to inertia, and then it's the truck that's moving, not the apple. So the apple only appears to swing back because it's being left behind. You got it. All right, perfect. Second one, similar, but instead of an apple, is a helium balloon. So out of these 3, which one is at rest?
Well, I remember this is like counterintuitive.
Okay, well, let's start with B.
Yeah, at rest.
At rest.
Yeah, B is at rest. It's for the same reason as the first, because there's no motion. You know, it's just vertical. Which one is accelerating forward?
It's gonna be C, because like the air is gonna go to the back, and then the balloon is.
The air is more dense than helium. Like,
Yeah.
like just normal air. Yeah.
Yeah, it is C. It is C. So yeah, there is 2 reasons why that happens, and obviously one is because air is more dense than helium, and the second reason is a force. So when I apply a force in this direction, all of the air that's inside of the truck is also being forced in that same direction through space, and because air is more dense than helium, is able to push it along with it. So again, a buoyant object will always get pushed in the direction of the applied force. So again, I can show that with this here. This is a buoyant object as well. Water is more dense than this ball. When I accelerate in this direction, the ball gets pushed forward as well because it's less dense. Pretty easy, right? So here, I recreated this experiment inside of a cargo van. It's both questions in one. So I want to see if you guys can get it. So it's a helium balloon and an apple inside. So what direction did I accelerate here? Right or left? Yeah, you guys got it, because that's the direction that the applied force, the air was being pushed, and then the air pushed the helium. So bonus question. It looks like the apple and the helium balloon are moving away from each other. That's what it looks like, that they're both moving away from each other. But in reality, only one is moving away from the other. So out of the apple and the helium balloon, which one is actually moving away from the other?
The balloon.
Yes, the balloon is moving away from the apple because the apple is just being left behind due to inertia, and it's only the balloon that's moving away from the apple. You guys got it, pretty good. So one last question before you guys go. If I have a helium balloon here on Earth and I release it, what direction does it go? Yes, because it's buoyant, right? There's 2 reasons why that happens though. Why does the balloon rise?
The air is dense here.
Yeah, the air is more dense than helium, the balloon. So that's the first reason. What's the second reason? No, you need a force. So you need something to push the air to be able to push the helium, right? So in this scenario, the truck generated the force to push the air forward, and then the air was able to push the helium, right? What's generating the force here on Earth to be able to push up the air to create the air pressure?
Gravity.
Yes, it is gravity. So it is gravity that's pushing up the air, that's pushing up. But here's the thing. I don't know if you guys knew, gravity as a pulling force is only a theory, which means it has never been measured or detected. In other words, it doesn't exist. So the real force of the Earth is not a downwards pull, it's an upwards push of the Earth. So the Earth right now is pushing up against your feet like an elevator. It's not pulling you down towards it. And that upwards push is just creating the air pressure, and that's why air is able to push up helium balloons. So here's the real reason why I'm doing this. You guys believe the Earth is a ball, right? So do you guys understand that on a ball, up is relative, right? So if you're standing here, up is this way, but if you're standing down here, up is this way, right? And every direction away from the center is up. If we could prove physically that gravity is not a downwards pull of the Earth, but in fact is an upwards push of the Earth, and physics shows us that, how can the Earth push up in every direction at the same time if there was a ball?
It's not a ball. Well, it's not a program.
It's not a proven ball, exactly. It's not. So that would mean the Earth would have to be expanding or just explode. It wouldn't work. So in order for people to believe in the ball Earth theory, they first have to believe in gravity being a pull of the Earth. Because if we could prove that it's an upwards push, again, the whole heliocentric model falls apart. The fact is the Earth is just an extended level plane that's pushing up in one direction. So up is not relative. Everybody's up is the same. So China and Australia are not bending down under your feet. They're just across the way. Every country and continent here on Earth is just across the way. You're going one direction. You know, so that's the reality, and that would be the number one proof to debunk the ball Earth is the fact that gravity is an upwards push of the Earth, not a downwards pull. And they call it the normal force, by the way. So they do acknowledge that force. It's the normal force. But again, the downwards pull of gravity, they tell us that because they want us to believe in this. They want us to deny our common sense and experience in favor of a cartoon ball, you know, in reality. So if I was to ask you guys respectfully before you guys go, why do you guys believe the Earth is a ball?
Because
I mean, we can all just accept that mostly it's just because that's what we've been told.
Exactly. That is the honest answer, believe it or not. You know, it's just what we were told. I believed it too for 24 years of my life. You know, and I came across this 10 years ago and, you know, completely changed my life, my perspective of what life is. You know, because I used to believe in evolution and the Big Bang and all that shit. And the fact is the Earth is a created place. 100% it was created. So I don't buy into any religion though. So Christianity.
Do you believe in simulation theory?
No. So this is a physical place. There's laws of physics. And I'm going to tell you why simulation theory doesn't make sense to me. If it was a simulation, we wouldn't have the laws of physics. You know, that would mean the laws of physics wouldn't apply, but they do. So that tells me that this is not a simulation. This is a physical, real place. You know, that's why it's reality, because it's real.
That was very profound.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, appreciate it. So here, let me give you guys my channel so you guys can check it out. I go to other universities here in Southern California as well, USC, UCR, and UC Irvine as well. So,
can we get on the YouTube channel?
Definitely. Yeah, you guys will. Here, you guys can take one each. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Here you go. Here you go. Yeah, appreciate the chat, man. You guys were great.
Really profound.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, take care.
Don't run, bro, please.
All right, that's gonna be it. I'm not gonna take any more. I gotta go. My parking's gonna expire. But yeah. Alrighty. That's gonna be it again. Thanks everybody that shows up, that shows support. You know, I really do appreciate it. Again, for anybody that wants to support the channel, I do have links on the description to my Cash App and PayPal. Again, for anybody that wants to support this channel, support my cause. It would definitely help me and enable me to do this more often. That's the goal. Regardless, I'm still gonna do this as much as I can, but I would love to do it, you know, more often, obviously. But yeah, I work a full-time job, so I just can't, you know, give that up and do this for free. I hate to say it, you know, it sucks, but it is what it is. We live in a monetary society where everything costs money, nothing is free. You know, in my opinion, it shouldn't be that way. But unfortunately, it is what it is at the moment. So again, for those of you that would like to contribute and like to support the channel, the links are in the description. And yeah, thanks again, and see you guys on the next one. Peace.